Mohammed.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley was well within his right to register his dissatisfaction with Police Commissioner Gary Griffith last year. The PM, by his own admission, said he had written to the Service Commission complaining about the top cop. The beleaguered Griffith said any citizen can make their opinion felt when he
on MCTV this morning. The following report from Zaid Mohammed.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley was well within his right to register his dissatisfaction with Police Commissioner Gary Griffith last year. The PM, by his own admission, said he had written to the Service Commission complaining about the top cop. The beleaguered Griffith said any citizen can make their opinion felt when he was interviewed earlier today on MCTV's Mr. Speaker Sir by Karen Joseph Samaru.
The Prime Minister had a right to comment to the Police Service Commission. Any citizen in this country can write to the Police Service Commission if there's a concern they feel as it pertains to the actions of the Commissioner of Police. Keith Rowley would have written as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. He's one of 1.4 million, and everyone has a view, everyone has an opinion. So he would have written like that. He couldn't write as a Prime Minister to direct for disciplinary action or anything like that to be taken on me. He will write based on his concern pertaining to what I said and what I did.
However, he said he felt that the Prime Minister could have referred to a slew of positive opinion polls, reports and assessments which fueled the public's confidence in Griffith's overall performance.
He obviously did not look at the fact that there was an 89% national support for Gary Griffith to return as Commissioner of Police as put in the Nigel Henry poll. The police service increased the public trust and confidence. When I joined, it was 14%, it went up to 42%. The fact is that every single major crime in this country was reduced by over 30% last year, over 150 less murders last year than the year before, over 50 less murders. This was 7 months when I was there than the year before. Almost every violent crime reduced, as I said, by sort of 25 to 30% over. The fact is that there were assessments done by me, by the PSC, 77 different assessments, and 75 or 76 of them were good, very good, or excellent.
Griffith, a former army officer, said unfortunately the views of politicians serve to shape the decision-making process, which often lack independent or objective thought and is tainted by raw politics.
Amazing. Every single decision made based on red or yellow. They don't look at the situation. So when Dr. Rowley, as the Prime Minister, stated that he lost confidence in me, all of a sudden you saw tens of thousands of diehard PNM supporters who were supporting me for 3 years. All of a sudden, Gary's bad.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed. And as we continue now with our coverage this evening, Kezia Janika Guerra died from multiple stab and chop wounds. An autopsy on the body of the 26-year-old Santa Cruz woman was done on Monday at the Forensic Sciences Center in St. James. Guerra had been missing for 6 days before her body was discovered in a shallow grave near a river off Santa Barbara Road in Maracas, St. Joseph. Police said their investigation into Guerra's death was active, although the main suspect has died from suicide at his home in Curep the day after Guerra was last seen. The casino employee had left her boyfriend, saying she was going shopping with the suspect's teenage daughter. Later that night, the man and 2 others were found parked in a car near where Guerra was found. Police officers who stopped to offer assistance to the trio found they were acting suspiciously and held the men for questioning. However, they were released later that night when officers found there were no reports against any of them. On Sunday, the suspect was found dead at his home. Police searches of his house turned up no sign that Guerra had been there. Yesterday, police sources said the 2 other men may be charged with offenses relating to Guerra's murder. Police suspect the murder of a 32-year-old man in St. James on Tuesday night may be related to tension with another resident over playing loud music. The Newsday newspaper reports that the Police Western Division Task Force received a report of gunshots on Sage Street, St. James at around 11:30 p.m. and found David Figueroa bleeding on the ground. Homicide investigators and a district medical officer were called in and declared Figueroa dead. No one has been arrested, and the Homicide Bureau of Investigation Region 3 are continuing their investigations. Staying with crime, a former murder accused was gunned down in Port of Spain on Tuesday evening. Police said Michael Mellon Lepere, 31, was found dead in a drain on George Street at about 6:40 p.m. He lived at Building 6264, Apartment E on George Street. Police said they responded to reports of gunshots and found his body. Lepere and Roberts Leacock were charged in 2009 with the murders of two men in the capital city. They were freed 10 years later after CCTV footage exonerated them of murdering Travis Brady, 29, of Duncan Street, Port of Spain, and Garnet Lake, 26, of Diego Martin. The men were killed on September 21, 2009. Police reported then that the two victims were liming at the corner of Prince and George Streets when two gunmen attacked them. At this time, we take a short break. Do stay with us. So much more for you in store.
News on MCTV.
As businesses adapt to the new normal, let Magic Mist take care of your cleaning and sanitization needs with our COVID-19 BSCAI internationally certified technicians. With over 43 years of protecting the health of our nation, you can trust us to ensure your building remains safe, healthy, and functional. Give us a call today at 638-6675 or 332-5522. Magic Mist Services Limited, your total facilities management solutions provider.
Hi, this is Michael Ruplal, attorney at law. I'm inviting you to join me every Thursday at 5 p.m. on MCTV for the Social Contract. It's a new show where we will be discussing bills that are being debated in Parliament, topical legal issues and recent decisions of our courts, and where we'll be giving general legal advice on issues that affect you, the public. I encourage all of you to continue looking at MCTV, bringing you back to where you belong.
News on MCTV.
Welcome back to the evening news on MCTV and U97.5. There are 55 confirmed COVID-19 cases at schools throughout the country since its reopening for physical classes, along with several reports of infections. Epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines provided this information based on the districts up to November 5th.
So for Port of Spain and environs, there were 5 confirmed positives up to November 5th. For St. George East, there would be 16. For Northeastern, 12. For Caroni, 3. For St. Patrick, 7. For Victoria, 5. And for Southeastern, 7. These are the confirmed positives in each of those districts. Now, the question you asked really reflected how many schools, etc., and that information wouldn't be in this this particular summary. But this is the summary that has been shared thus far, and additional detail on this can, of course, be sourced from the Ministry of Education.
Additionally, the doors of the Bishop's High School will be closed until Thursday for sanitation purposes. The THA's Division of Education, in a press release on Tuesday, noted face-to-face teaching and learning was suspended at the school today to facilitate sanitization of the school's compound. The division said students of Forms 4 to 6 would have to revert to online classes, and physical classes are scheduled to resume tomorrow. The division did not say whether any students or teachers had tested positive for COVID-19. Well, all Forms 4 to 6 students, vaccinated or not, returned to physical classes on October 25th. Meanwhile, a second Tobago school suspended its in-person classes today. The Signal Hill Secondary School halted its Forms 4 to 6 classes following concerns of the COVID-19 virus. In a statement, Principal Xavier King said the school will undergo a sanitization exercise, and during this period, online classes would also resume. Mr. King added that further information will be provided to students and parents in a subsequent release. Turning to some other news now. The occupancy level at the parallel healthcare system continues to increase, and the Ministry of Health is pleading with specific persons to get their third shot. We have more in this report.
52 out of 60 intensive care unit beds are currently occupied in Trinidad. Principal Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Miriam Abdul-Richards, in the Health Ministry's media conference today, said that the overall ICU occupancy level has increased. Trinidad is currently at 49%, while Tobago is at 33%. Dr. Abdul-Richards stated that the current caseload is less than 400 patients per day, and that the number has increased in the last few days.
This morning, we have now crossed another threshold or marker. Between the June 28th and present, up until yesterday, there were less than 400 patients per day in the hospitals in the parallel healthcare system. Yesterday, that 400 number was crossed. There were 405, and this morning there are 427 patients in the parallel healthcare facility.
She noted that most patients who are currently in parallel healthcare are not fully vaccinated.
This morning, there are 52 beds out of a total of 60 beds that are currently operational and activated in Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad, 2 out of 5 beds are currently occupied. We continue to see a significant percentage and a significant number of unvaccinated or persons who are not fully vaccinated requiring intensive care unit level care. And this morning, out of the 52 persons in Trinidad who are in our intensive care unit, 46 of them, which is 92% of those persons, are not fully vaccinated.
Dr. Abdul-Richards stated that there has also been a significant increase in patients in the accident and emergency departments waiting to be transferred into the parallel healthcare system. Additionally, the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society is pleading with cancer patients to get the third dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Speaking at the Ministry of Health press conference, the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society chairman, Dr. Sante LeBlanc, said that people with cancer have compromised immune system which offers little resistance to the COVID-19 virus.
Your immune system is your army. It is your defense against all infections.
Good evening and welcome to DouglAR Radio live on U97.5 FM. Cocky, how your hair looking so black there, boy? You put a little dye in it, or eh? You're falling some tar. You're looking like a young boy. Check Cocky now, boy. Cocky looking like he come out when he's about 36 now. Hey, what we will say? What should we say? Let me tell you something. Well, the latest, as you see on the news there on MCTV.
Yes.
The incompetence knows no bounds.
Wow.
The Ethelbert Hines, Rowley, Convent Girl have basically thrown up their hands in the air and given up the COVID fight. They have nothing else to do. They have no more ideas. They have no more concepts. They've tried shutdown after shutdown, lockdown, broke down, state of emergency, and every single thing has failed. And now the Delta like it now warming up. It like Sugar Ray Leonard when he was fighting Hearns and in all in the 7th, 8th round, he's still just warming up. And it's only in the 14th round that he come out. Delta now coming out for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And Keith Rowley, his team, his cabinet, his doctors, his people,
yes,
they have no clue what else to do. It is all over. We are on our own. We are just at the mercy of this COVID-19. Now, when people remember, COVID-19 presented 2 threats. The physical threat to health and life, as well as the threat to the economy and to your jobs. The PNM has absolutely, totally, completely fail on both aspects. The economy is shattered like never before. Those of you who are a little older will remember the pain of 1982 to 85, where the NAR had to try and come and fix it from 1986 and put in austerity measures, and then the rebound started by about 1989, 1990 to 91.
Right.
We are worse off than that. And what makes it even darker is that there are no prospects. There is no... You see, if you had an intelligent government, they may have put a plan in place before COVID that could be bringing some fruits now. That you could say, we have some opportunities here, some revenue streams there.
Yeah.
The plans that we implemented to diversify the economy once the COVID pandemic eases up and so on, that we will be ready to take off. There is nothing like that. We have absolutely nothing to look forward to except pain.
Pain again.
More pain, Cocky. Cocky, people don't understand. We are now price takers in everything. We produce nearly nothing. The shutdown of the refinery, we don't even refine products. We don't make bitumen. We don't do anything. We have no agricultural policy. We cannot feed ourselves. We are dependent $5 billion per year to feed ourselves. Global shipping costs are just going skyrocketing. The oil and gas prices are going to go up. And people may think that may be a good thing. That's a good thing for those in charge who are giving out contracts for their boys and their friends and their family and so on. But to you, the people, the citizens, you are for the first time in 20 years or more, 24 years, totally unprotected from the spikes in the global oil price. Remember, Cocky, you might remember, back in 1980 and 79, 80 and so on, with the war in Afghanistan and the U.S. policy, U.S.-Soviet Cold War, a combination of global effects, that the price of oil, also with the Arab nations limiting production of oil.
Yeah.
Remember on news, you would have only had TTT news back then.
Yeah.
They used to show you lines in the U.S. of people lining up to get gas in car, to put gas in the car. Miles and miles of lines.
Yes, yes.
You remember that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's because in the U.S. there was no subsidy. There was no protection for the citizens. So whatever the international price was, it would hit them directly in their pocket when they went to the pump. Well, we are now in that situation because Colm Imbot has removed all the protection from the citizens in the gas subsidy. The gas subsidy has been nearly totally removed. That a little piece remains on diesel that they will come to remove just now. They wanted to even remove super out, just like how they removed regular gas. Fishermen cannot even get regular gas to go in the boats to catch fish to feed the nation. You see, when I tell you pain, if I keep going, you go just fall down and ball, you know. So when we are seeing, and those in the know who predict oil prices are predicting that oil prices will surpass $100 a barrel and may head towards, closer towards the $200 a barrel mark.
Right.
Let us say it hits $120 a barrel. All of us who drive cars in Trinidad and Tobago, our gas bill, and you can already start to feel it because the price of oil has been going up. So some of you have been seeing that a 200 in gas only really getting here like a 160, right? But by next year, that 200 in gas that you normally put, you will be lucky if you get a $80 worth out of that. So many people will not be able to afford to drive the car. And this is the problem. So not only are our citizens dying, not only are we had 98 deaths in November before today, and I didn't hear the number for today. Yeah. But we crossed 100 deaths from COVID-19 for November, and November now start, Today is what, the 10th day of November?
Yeah, Wednesday, November 10th.
November 10th. In 10 days, we have surpassed 100 deaths in COVID-19.
Wow.
Wow is correct. You all just soak that in, and it's only getting worse. We're now averaging 300 and something positives per day. And the government has used every possible means to keep COVID-19 under control that they believe that they have said. In fact, Fitzgerald Hines, the Minister of National Security, came out yesterday and printed in today's Newsday and said, well, citizens, you're on your own. The government has done all it could to prevent COVID-19 spread, death, destruction, and devastation to the economy. So all you be safe. He basically, that is exactly what he said. So he's saying all you're on your own. And this is a government that was elected into power by the media pushing a nonsensical, ridiculous myth that they were solid on COVID and the science and they were handling COVID well. Many people believe that nonsense, But don't worry, we're coming back to talk about it some more. We have many other issues and we will take your calls when we come back. Yes. 218-7762. 218-7762. And while you're out there, make sure and check out Royal Castle, the sweetest tasting, spicy, brilliant, amazing chicken, and that pepper. I take an extra pepper all the time, Royal Castle might send police for me, I just overdo the pepper. We're coming back.
Okay, Rudolph, make a right. Then, hold on. Mrs. Claus sent a WhatsApp. The elves are hungry. Pick up a Royal Castle Queen bucket, a King bucket, some royal wings, a family meal, a few combos, some extra delicious coleslaw, crinkle-cut fries, potato salad, and a snack box for yourself. Oh, and don't forget that delicious honey mustard sauce. It's really lashing. Okay, Rudolph, let's get that delicious local Trini flavor. Royal Castle, here we come. Royal Castle is the local something that makes it all taste better. Happy holidays from Royal Castle.
Hi, this is Michael Ruplal, attorney at law. I'm inviting you to join me every Thursday at 5 p.m. on MCTV for the Social Contract. It's a new show where we will be discussing bills that are being debated in Parliament, topical legal issues and recent decisions of our courts, and where we'll be giving general legal advice on issues that affect you, the public. I encourage all of you to continue looking at MCTV, bringing you back to where you belong.
Rook the Ride Home Center, Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas. Manufacturers of indoor and outdoor furnishing, patio set, kitchen cupboard, bathroom and house doors in any color and design in mahogany, teak, cedar and pine. You order, we deliver. Rook the Ride Home Center, Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas. Satisfying every customer. Call Rook the Ride Home Center, 665-7667. Coming soon on MCTV, the local Palooza show and countdown. Hosted by TNT's rock ambassador, Bees Hi-Fi, the metal merchant. See and hear all your favorite local rock bands. Keep it rock alive, Rhythms Communications Network. Local Palooza show and countdown. Coming soon on MCTV, the local Palooza show and countdown.
U975 Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio and Multicultural Television MCTV, bringing you back where you belong. Part of the Rhythms Communications Network. To advertise with us, call 218-7820.
It's time to make your community better than before. Join yours truly, Kieran Joseph Samaru, on Your Community. We'll be discussing the important issues with the important people in the place most important to you, your community. Join us every Tuesday at 9 p.m. right here on MCTV as we know and make your community better than before.
Okay, Rudolph, make her right. Then, hold on. Mrs. Claus sent a WhatsApp. The elves are hungry. Pick up a Royal Castle Queen bucket, a King bucket, some royal wings, a family meal, a few combos, some extra delicious coleslaw, crinkle-cut fries, potato salad, and a snack box for yourself. Oh, and don't forget that delicious honey mustard sauce. It's really lashing. Okay, Rudolph, let's get that delicious local Trini flavor. Royal Castle, here we come. Royal Castle is the local something that makes it all taste better. Happy holidays from Royal Castle.
U97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper, 218-7762. Let's hear your opinion, whether COVID-19, Delta, economy, where we going, what we seeing. There was a debate in the Parliament earlier today. Very interesting. 218-7762. And I don't know what to tell you all again, because it becomes very frustrating when you're looking at the leaders who are in charge and they have no clue what they are doing. They talk down arrogantly to you, to the population, and yet they have failed at every step of the way, and there is no hope in sight, nothing whatsoever. 218-7762.
This is frightening.
Cocky, I don't know what to tell you, I don't know what to tell you. Your children working?
Well, it's been hard. All those at stores. One of my daughter have a store in Chabonas.
Right.
No business. I don't know.
She's rent or?
Yes, rent.
Oh, no. About the landlord treating her fairly in this lockdown, or still calling for rent?
I don't know. People still want the rent, I can't say. They want some form of rent. They got bills to pay too as well, but I don't know.
But even under this, I see the defense force. I really want to know. This
Until somebody say head shining like a light bulb.
Yeah, that means that is when you bathe.
Yes.
Yeah, you use Protect soap, it cleans it, makes it shine it up.
Yes.
Defense Force. This was so amazing. In the height of COVID-19. Anyway, we take the call.
We have a call.
Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hi, good afternoon. Calling from the ICC, and Robert Twendo, who is back in for the World Cup finals.
Well, I was back in England, but again, how today?
Yes, the New Zealanders are very efficient. What about the game tomorrow, Pakistan against Australia? How do you see that, Mr. Roberts?
Well, Pakistan is the team in form, and they look to have an all-round team that is providing great entertainment. They're well captained, they're a disciplined unit, and they have a good mix of spin and pace. They've been taking their catches, and they seem to be the tournament favorite right now based on how they're playing. However, the Australians are what you call big race day. You know when big horse come for big race, the Australians have the greatest track record in World Cup 50 over and so on, the World Championship, Test cricket, and they have an ability to pull out what is necessary to win. So on quality, I will say my heart will go with Pakistan. But I know that Australians are champions and will not give up very easily. So if you force me to take a pick, I will take Pakistan.
Okay, thank you very much for your analysis. Now, that guy there with you, is his name Corky?
Corky, yes, that's his name, Corky.
I think he's a foreigner. Even though he's born here, he never grew here. He just dies here. Okay, I'll see you again. I'll see you time now. Have a good day there, Mr. Roberts. Bye-bye.
218-7762. The Defense Force. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Tell me how we could get past that disgusting speaker. The opposition cannot get a chance to kill Parliament.
Well, boy, we can't because that's the constitution we have, and she is selected by the PNM who have the majority in the parliament.
But she's sitting on in the wrong place. She should be sitting on next to Rowley or something like that.
Well, she is a PNM. She's a former PNM Attorney General.
It's so disgusting, man, trying to listen to the contributions. You can't even make your contribution there.
Tell me more, because I was listening. I want to hear from all you. It's all your parliament, you know. And they are dragging the flag.
It's disgusting. Good night, gentlemen.
All right, have a good evening. 218-7762. Corky, a man say something about you're a foreigner because you don't live here, you don't grow here, you only die here. And Corky get the blackest black dye, eh? Corky ain't put no brown in it. Eh? You're going black is black, boy. Oh Lord. 218-7762. Defense Force had a parade. What is it called them? When they march out after training and so on. Graduates of the Defense Force were unmasked during their passing out parade last week because it would have been extremely difficult to perform their drills while masked. A Defense Force member who spoke on conditions of anonymity said because of the heat, the difficulty of the drills and the time spent on parade in the heat, it would have been hard for the 170 recruits to be masked. They all would not have lasted on that parade with masks on in the heat. Now, there are many issues to discuss here. Number one, I totally agree with the scientific position about exercise and mass with the heat. But the law is the law. So how the Defense Force could decide to break the law? We can't decide that we want to break the law just so. Good evening. Hello. Listen
Hello?
on the, yes, hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Are you live?
Yes, turn down your radio and listen to me on the phone.
Okay then.
Go ahead, talk.
Anil,
Yeah.
I'm calling from Sangre Grande area, boy.
Tell me.
Now, you know, the Prime Minister did say when he was promoting the Toko Highway that Sangre Grande is the Toko side is a neglected part of the country. Right? You hearing me?
Yeah.
Now, since election, they have given out the Toko Road from Valencia Junction to Sangre Grande to 3 contractors to do the road. One was CAPL. They do from Valencia Junction to by Paramount Company. Junior Sammy take from Paramount Company to a place called 2 Mile Corner. Calco take from 2 Mile Corner to Sangre Grande. Anil, what Junior Sammy do? The road mash up. What CAPL do? The road have waves in it. What Calco do? It ain't finished yet. From since last year. So my question to you, these people doing this work for free, the way they're doing it, or they're getting paid? That's my question. They can't be doing it for pay and have it in that condition. They can't be getting paid and leaving the work like that. It is regrettable that we in this part of the country have to accept that part of the national pie. Highlight that for me, please, now. The Toko Road from Sangre Grande to Valencia.
Thank you, sir. And, well, you just highlighted it, and it's very sad. And what can I say? The PNM in charge, shoddy work, down by Dave Tanku, down in Oropuch West. They had a landslide. They put up about the Ministerial Works come and put up some bamboo to prop up the rocks, some bamboo posts, and then take some asphalt and line off the curve where the road was eat away and gone, you know. I don't know what to say. Corky, where you just drive, where you live, what area, around what area?
Well, there's been several areas, but
right.
You see Carsonfield?
Yes.
Boy, I tell you, I'm sticking a pothole.
You sticking a pothole in Carsonfield?
I had to reverse. My boy said, what happened there, my Corky? I said, boy, it's a pothole, boy. The car, you understand? The wheels gone down, and to the front of it stick. I had to reverse it really, really bad.
But I'm telling you, I've never seen... You know, people... I kind of tired today, you know, because...
I realize, yeah. It's real frustrating, boy.
When I tell you, you know what frustrates me?
Yeah.
I see that, well, sport in a total mess, right? But
yeah,
really and truly, on the priorities of life, hospital, COVID-19, business, economy, lack of jobs, and so on,
yeah,
I could put sport lower down the list of problems, but still,
sports is very, very, very important because it's your health, your exercise, you know, your body,
the
and
opportunities and so on. But you see, we in such a calamity. It's like you was in a crash at 100 miles per hour, and the surgeons, you bust your head, your brain spilling out, your heart get puncture, your lungs, your leg break in 5 places, your spine, your spinal cord. You understand? And they have about 6 different surgeons trying to work on you at the same time.
Right.
So a man will have to deal with the bleed in the brain, try to stop the brain from swelling first and drill it, and so make sure that the brain don't conk out. Then if the heart bleeding, they want to stop that to make sure that could keep pumping. Then they go, right? So you have to prioritize. Then they go deal with the break foot.
Right.
So sport is like the break foot. But I hearing some footballers and coaches and so on thinking about protesting against the decisions made not only by the Normalization Committee but by Terence Dial Singh and the Ministry of Health to deny the Ascension League from playing and so on, even though everybody fully vaccinated all over the world, sporting events going on. And I was listening to David Nakhid on Power Play this morning. He was on MCTV Power Play. Yeah. And he say that when he is a man always fighting for the rights of individuals in general.
Yes.
And you know what? I might even call him, you know.
Yes, yes, yes.
I will give you a number too to call him.
Right.
Because it really worried me. Let me write down that number here for you. Look at a little piece of paper.
Yes.
You'll bear with us. I'm just making a spontaneous call there.
We have a caller coming in.
Yes, take it. Hello, good afternoon, good evening.
Good afternoon, good evening.
How you going? Boy, talk for me, talk. Let me get this number here.
Listen, we have some headless people running this country. I'm reading an article where your partner at Taipan telling some UN committee that Trinidad response to COVID-19 is one of the best in the world.
You're lying.
So I say
No,
to
hold
myself,
on.
Glasses,
Hold on.
what lens you watching through?
Hold on, Saina.
Yes, sir.
You lie on Taipans. You lie on him.
All right.
Eh?
Listen what happened today.
No, let me ask you this. He really say that?
Yes, I go send it.
You gotta send me. I didn't study he today, nah. Send me that. But what he say? Trinidad and Tobago's what? COVID. But we now saying is the worst thing. Them could have never.
Because after he said that in the Zoom in with the United Nations Committee, today's statistics say 512 cases. I think we ever reached so high with 12 more deaths. So I want to know which lens
Wait.
he's looking at that.
Wait. You just go too fast. You too bright for your own good, you know.
All right, let me talk. Okay, I go slow down.
Slow down. Because you now start listening, or you was listening from 618?
No. I now come up.
Yes.
To turn it on.
All right. So I know you didn't hear from 618 because I said at about 621, I did not have the numbers for today. And I was talking about 300 on average and all, and you now come with some precise, concise, up-to-date numbers. So please give my audience those numbers that you just said there slowly and carefully because they have not heard it yet. Thank you.
512 cases today and 12 more deaths. Our 7-day average, week on week, we have increased it by 14%, and I think it's 30% increase in debt. So we're moving in a direction that, as I say, the man wearing glasses and the lens he's looking through, not on his head, it is on his posterior.
Wow. So it's 110 deaths for November.
Right. That is how frightening it is. The rotation policy is not good. They ration in healthcare because if they say they do so good with the COVID, why we having so much debt? It has to be patient care. It has nothing else that is because more than 50% of the population is vaccinated. Why we having so much debt? It has to be in the hospital. Davlin has called him Javelin. He wants to play, go into athletics or do playwriting because that's how a story.
Well, we're going to call David Nakhid now, but you listen on. All right, my brother. And somebody want to know if Olympic gold swimmers, if the coach does only coach human swimmers or if he's coach all kind of swimmers. The coach could coach any. Hey, call Nakhid, boy. Cocky.
There's a call coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
why would Cocky? Oh Lord, yes, the Olympic coach can coach anyone, any type of swimmers. You understand? Oh Lord, let me get David Nakhid on the phone here. So 500, Lord, all that thing I tell you before, I was only basing it on 330 and thing average, If you all recall, because I said that I did not get the final figures for today yet. Well, thank the Lord I didn't get it. I might have cost because it's 500 and something that Sahina just tell me there. and 12 deaths. Corky, you can't whisper and thing. Corky, you just learn how to whisper and thing, or you just talk loud? We got them? Yeah. Oh, Lord. Hello, good evening, Senator David Nakhid, former national captain, sportsman, philanthropist. How are you, my brother?
I'm fine, my brother. How are you, Senator Robert? How are you, coach?
I am not.
The greatest coach this country has ever seen.
I am not
Tell
good.
me.
I am not good, my brother.
What happened?
Okay, let me start with what I heard. I heard you on the power play this morning. You were interviewed by Gordon. Pierre.
Okay, yes.
And you said, as I was saying, that the PNM has not cared about football as compared to the United National Congress across the board, whether national team, female, women, junior teams, pro league, semi-pro league, super league, secondary schools football development, coaching trust, coach education. Across the board, they've just left football to die. They've also put a PNM normalization committee in place. But before we go into all of that, you said something this morning that really upset me. That you, a man who has been fighting for the rights of the downtrodden and the oppressed across the globe for your entire life, and a former national football captain, MVP of the Caribbean Cup, first professional footballer in the history of Trinidad and Tobago to play in the Champions League, you saw that footballers and the football professionals and people were being discriminated against and not allowed to play their league, and you wanted to join. They were thinking about protesting, setting up a protest, and you obviously will be in that because that is who you are. And someone or one or two coaches told you or suggested to you that because you are a UNC senator now, that if you join the protest, it will be seen as political. Is that true? Because that confuses me to the point of frustration, because it is politics that means that football is oppressed. It is politics of the PNM that put Shamfa Kujo as a minister of sport. It is politics and political decisions that had football dead. Please help me out, Senator Nakhid.
Well, you said that comment made you sad. It didn't make me sad. It made me very angry. Because obviously, for someone to make such an idiotic statement that if I was in a protest, me in a protest concerning football, because I'm first and foremost, my fame or lack of it or for whatever came from football. My education came from football. My life came from football. Being able to travel around the globe and bring recognition to my country, my family, my friends, my coaches came from football. So if they could view my participation in a protest against this corrupt PNM government, against this corrupt normalization committee, is political, if they could make that statement, they are idiots. So I leave them to their own devices. Because it was brought to me, Coach, it was brought to me by a very, very patriotic footballer, ex-footballer, and now coach in America, who has gone very far, so much so, he was also president of the Black Coaches Association of America. And he said to me, Senator, you should be involved in this and all that. I told him I have no problem being involved in anything that is positive. Then he said, when he spoke to them, he was so disappointed, like you said you were, that they felt that it might be perceived as political. So I therefore now have to think twice about being involved in anything to uplift football, because somebody among the coaches, because they're not aware that their statement is politically biased towards the PNM, because the PNM, as you have said, have them in that situation begging for what should be their rights, begging for what should be their their patrimony, begging for their futures. And they're worried about if I being in it is perceived as political. I tell you where is the extent of our African people. Soulless, mindless, brainless, because they don't realize this is not about politics, this is about fighting for rights. So you're telling me now, anybody who subscribes to the UNC, anybody who believes in the philosophy of the UNC, you know what they're saying, Senator Robert? They're saying you cannot be part of that person. But they didn't tell me I can't. If they tell me I couldn't, I would have gone on there and want to see which one of them could tell me I can't be part of that. But they ask the question if it might be. When for me time they ask that question, I realize they have nowhere to go. They have no soul. All they want to do is hope that if they protest, Rowley or Shampaka Joe or some other clown among the PNM with complete intellectual deficit will be able to show them a few scraps. Because they don't know. They don't know. They're not aware. They don't have the caliber of people. We don't have that, but they don't have the caliber of people and of character to know that how they have to stand up for their rights. They don't have that. They're worried about who in it. So hey, you telling me, Senator, if I was a member of the PNM, God forbid, it was okay? It was okay to be part of the protest? So I should tell you, these people, they will walk around a million years around the Red House. They'll walk around a million years wherever they need to walk and still get nothing from a government who never cared about sports. There's no point in our history you can show me PNM cared about football especially, about sports in general, because it's mostly poor and working class people who participate in sports. As a matter of fact, we had a joke. We had a joke among me and Jamal Shabazz and among with Brutus Sinclair that we have to get more Syrians, we have to get more Chinese involved in football, because then the PNM might pay attention and give some money for that. You understand? We used to say that. But unfortunately, it is what it is.
But David Nakhid, those same coaches would have been around when the People's Partnership was in government, when the UNC was in charge, when Kamla Prasad Bisesa was in charge. Corky, if you need to see that video, go outside there and watch it. No, it's very important. He sent that for you to know what to do. All right? So you could go outside and look at it. Yes. And wouldn't they understand that the Pro League was up and running? The Pro League was getting $11.3 million plus $5 million, $16.3 million a year to ensure the opportunities and the creation of an industry with not only players getting salaries, but coaches, assistant coaches, ground staff, maxi taxis, trainers, physiotherapists, nutsmen, corn soup ladies, creating jobs across the board, about 4,000 jobs, paying an average of $6,000 to $12,000 per month. That was UNC. And now the PNMs before COVID had crashed the Pro League, David Nakhid. There was not even a full season in many years between 2017 to 2019. Don't they understand that?
Brother Arnold, listen. You know, I had two people besides yourself who I considered brothers, intimate in the Pro League. Intimate, my brothers who I know since I 12 years old. Dexter Skeen was the CEO and Jamal Shabazz. Right? They have told me that under the UNC, when you were Minister of Sport, not only there was that allocation you're talking about, millions given to sport, football was on a high, not only was that done, they always told me anything personally that they came to you with. And that has to be not only about you, it's about the leader, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who was always amenable, always ready to support sport, to support football in particular. And not only that, having a sports minister who recognized the importance, the social importance, the opportunities that provided for the people who play the sport. Now you have a government now who is how many 300 words they put in the budget the 300 words that Commonwealth dedicated to sport.
And Champagne ain't talk yet.
And Champagne didn't say a word about sport. And to tell you how the people that we in the UNC are trying to help as concerning sport, which is, we have to say it, mainly the so-called African Tobagonian, they're the ones who continue to support their own demise. They continue to look for scraps off the table. Rowley, well, you ever hear Rowley come and speak with any lengthy, meaningful way about sport?
David,
about football?
Rowley has been, since he's Prime Minister, other than the golf that he is playing, and he love golf, but golf don't love he. He has the worst, you know, he's a coach. The man have no coordination, his swing sucks. He just is really terrible. But the only sports that he went and he visited to see anything was his nephew does play water polo, so he went to see a water polo game, and some other family member in one other sport. So he is only go to sporting when he family involved. Now let me also remind people, because I never talk that, you know, and I'm glad you brought it up. The total investment in sport by Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the People's Partnership Government was due to Kamla Prasad Bisesa loving and understanding the importance of sport, having played badminton, hockey and netball for her school while being a scholar also, and knowing that it provides opportunities, it provides discipline, time management, and the ability for young people to achieve greatness. You have to remember, and you all out there must understand, when you are in a cabinet, especially in a cabinet of intelligent people like what the UNC has put together, you have ministers there all wanting to try to get money and funding for their programs to impact the lives of people in their disparate portfolios. So when I went in a cabinet, it was 32 other ministers, and it had Jack Warner trying to get money to fix more road, and it had KDs trying to get money for tourism, and Tim Gopi Singh wanting to build 106 school, and then Fazal Karim wanting to get money for gate and to improve MIC centers with David Lee and NESC, and then you had ministers across the board for culture coming in with pan investment and so on. It is you have to go inside there. So I come in for sport now. I have to fight inside there and argue and make a case for sport development, youth development, coach education, facility infrastructure development and maintenance. And every time, not every time, 70% of the time, I would win my argument because the Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa believed in sport. So she understood sport, understood the power of sport, and therefore cabinet notes would be improved. Rowley don't care about sport except when he had to drive a golf cart or when his nephew playing. And then he put a lady who don't know nothing about sport. She does walk a half marathon.
Yeah, we you know, people might make light of it, but it's really tragic when we look at how we were able to put this small rock that we inhabit. We've been able to put it on the global arena through sport. You know what I mean? Our exploits in the Olympics, our exploits on the football field, in cricket. I mean, it's on netball.
But David, you will have stories. Give them the stories. I remember one story when I went Japan, Fukuoka, Japan, 2001 World Championship. George Bovell come, and nobody here know he. But I had now started coaching him. I had 3.5 months with him. And I make him move from 44th in the world to #1 after the preliminaries. When we come outside and George Bovell, TRI, now it's TTO, back then was TRI. All them Japanese reporter and thing, they come by the pool. TRI, what is TRI? I said Trinidad and Tobago, Southern Caribbean, you know, close to Venezuela, oil and gas. I said steel pan, calypso, soca, music. I said nice man, DouglAR, all kind of things I say. Them I know what I'm talking about. I say Atto Bolden, They all of them about 50 camera, Japanese media. Oh, Atto Bolden son, Atto Bolden, Trinidad, Tobago, Atto Bolden son. Because they know Atto Bolden. That is the power of sport.
Let me tell you a story. You know, I played in Greece, and I have a house in Greece. So when I traveled there, I remember it was after 2000. From the time I was in Europe, I played in Greece in '92, and I even playing with the biggest club in Thessaloniki. I passed into the airport. I remember how they would look at my passport, coach. They would look at my passport. They hold it up in the air, Trinidad and Tobago. Although I playing for one of the biggest clubs, they're looking at the passport upside down, all kind of thing to see if it's a real passport. Trinidad and Tobago, where it is. If you see them scrambling to look at the map. Of course, after a couple of weeks and so, doing well with the club, it was okay. But then when I went back to Europe, I went to Switzerland and then back in the Middle East. So it was like they forgot about Trinidad and Tobago. And I remember passing in 2003, passing through Thessaloniki to go home, and the same kind of treatment. The Greeks notoriously racist, and they look at the passport and all that. And I saying, boy, when this thing will end. And then 2004, the Olympics. I never forget this. I go into Athens, and as always, when you go into, because I in Europe since 1987. So I go into Athens and always have this trepidation because all the other people in the line, immigration line, and all the waiters that look at you when they pull you out of the line. They're looking at the pages and the passport, they're looking you up and down, they tell you, you're feeling like probably how African Americans feel all the time, driving to Washington, D.C. or Chicago, boy. So I remember going through it with this sense of trepidation, boy, as usual, and especially in Athens. And boy, I say again, as I put on my passport, but I never forget the fella. He looked at the passport, and he look at me. 2004, and he say, Trinidad and Tobago, and he started to do like he's swimming. He started to do like he's swimming. And I was not, I follow it, the Olympics, but I was not big, you know what I mean? I say, oh God, man, talking about George, but I don't know what. So look at that.
Yes.
Look at that. The man stamped on my passport, and I was on my merry way because I was a Tobagonian outside in Greece.
When I met her.
Recognized.
Yes.
Not through my football. I ain't playing Greece, so not through my football. I play in Europe and get famous in Europe. No. They recognize what? We medal in a swimming event in 2000. You look at that.
I'm telling you, and it is remarkable. And for the PNM to have no understanding of what we're talking about and the power. Do you know that yesterday or today, the IPL sold two brand new franchises, right? They went to the auction block for businessmen to buy two new teams that will take part in the IPL next year. Would you believe what was the price that it went for? Now, this is just selling a concept, a logo. There are no team. They have to go and buy players and things after, right? This is just to get a franchise, to get a team, to get like the Mumbai, to get like
Kolkata.
Yes, to be like them, right? Just to get a team to go and enter the competition. Take a guess how much the bid was and how much was paid for one of the two franchises.
$250 million.
You're close. That's where the bidding began. That's where it began. One billion US. The bidding began exactly like it began at 250 million US. The first one went up and sold for $1 billion US, and the second franchise for 752 million US.
Wow. And hear what? And our biggest sporting event in the last year and a half in Trinidad and Tobago, outside of course, the bubble that was the CPL, is Muti fighting against the stick in Silot. That was Shampaka Joe. And she didn't put that on.
She didn't even know it was going on.
Yeah, exactly. That is our biggest event. I mean, this government should be ashamed of itself. Jamaican Football League going on. You will see how Jamaica after a while will dominate the Caribbean. I am telling you that, Coach. Jamaica after a while, because of their league, their football league, it's horrible to look at for the moment. But if they continue on that path, they will blow past. I mean, before, they have already gone past Trinidad and Tobago.
On the national level, yes.
Our players still, I believe, have a bit more talent than the Jamaicans, a little more flair, a little more, intelligence. I believe so.
I feel you are totally biased. I disagree with you right now. That used to be so.
I'm very biased because
I disagree with you.
Jamaica is one of the games that still get me passionate.
Boss, let me tell you something. Jamaica playing in World Cup qualifying, USA beat them 2-0 or something. But I think they went into El Salvador or Honduras or somewhere and beat them, Jamaica battling. So while...
They're battling, but remember, Anil, Jamaica, out of 11 players, 8 of them coming out of England, 5 of them never put in Jamaica.
I don't care about that at all.
No,
we are the same thing outside it too. We are the same Chinese outside it.
Yeah, but the point is, if we can have our own indigenous players,
yes.
Even when I say indigenous players who are homegrown, organically grown here in Trinidad like we had, because we cannot ascribe the outside that made Dwight York, David Nakhid.
No, that was right here.
Hislop. That was here. Hislop, Nixon, you know what I mean? That was done here in Trinidad.
Dwarka, yes.
All these players, Ansel Elcock,
Kerwin Hardis, Gemot. Yes.
Alvin Thomas, Dexter Skeen. That was made here.
Stern John
from the Colleges League. The Colleges League on to Maple, the ASL.
I don't want to burst your bubble. Those years are gone. The years of Leroy DeLeon, the Alvin Cornell, Garlic Cummins, Sedley Joseph, the Dread Dribbler, my boy down from Carnage, Ron Laforet, the husbands, and coming through with Nakhid and Marcel and Clausel, and coming up to York and Latapi and Louis Lejean and Mickey Wright and all of that, gone. Those days are gone.
Why, Coach?
Because
tell me why it's gone.
Number one, our parents and our young children now do not spend the time with the ball. Back in those days, it didn't have no set of coaching clinic and coaching school, but the hours spent with the ball, playing whole day and getting your mother to hit you licks when you reach home 7 p.m. after it dark. Man used to be willing to take the licks and play football whole day. You had leagues where the junior players, the skillful players like yourself, could go in the North Zone, East Zone, Central Zone and play on a club team and play against bigger adults and get some exposure. There was more time spent with the ball, more skillful, more sharing of knowledge. Leagues were running. The national team coaches were a superior bunch. We had more passion when we got out there to go to little universities and so on, whether Erskine College, Howard, and so on. Some of our players came back. Our coaches like Lincoln Phillips and so on went out and knowledge was shared. There was a love and a passion for the football, and football was played all year round. Right now, our children go to a camp or a clinic and they play 3 times a week, 2 hours, and they go home on the computer and the phone and they do their own thing and they don't practice at home. You know how you got great. You didn't only do training at the coach ground. You would go home, you had your own ball. Your ball, all the brown, all the white used to come off your ball. It used to be brown with thread showing and your skills enough and practicing at home. Your mother used to buff you and beat you for making she white wall brown. That's where we got good. We don't have that. We have lost that through the PNM's culture of dependency. We don't work hard. Dwight York made it because he was a Tobagonian. He was the last disciplined Tobagonian footballer to come out of there. Dwight York made it to the highest level because he had Tobagonian upbringing. Right now, Tobagonians going on pirogue to rob bank in Grenada.
Yeah, it was a different culture. There was no culture of entitlement like there is now. One player play a game, and everybody talking about him like he's the biggest star. And no, there was not. You're right about that. I think too that the colleges league, and I still believe so, and I will always say so. I think they need to have a serious rethinking or revamping of that colleges league. There's no way that we can have boys that age, one playing a season of only 3 months or 4 months. I don't know. You would know more than I how long that is now.
September to late November, maybe cracking to early December. Nonsense. Right. And no indoor season, no fitness, no preseason, nothing.
Exactly. I think, Coach, if somebody like you were able to at least be able to advise them.
Advise who? Advise a man who went to save football and pay himself a salary and now put anything in bankruptcy, and the accountant who he put in charge of the bankruptcy move is the former common law wife of Stuart Smallpin Young. That who you want me to go by? Were you trying to get me? You're trying to get me to go Golden Grove?
No, but I wasn't talking about the Normalization Committee. I didn't care about them, fire upon them.
Right.
I'm talking about the colleges league. I believe
the colleges
league have to. We in Trinidad we don't like change. Obviously, we don't like change because we still have a lot of people here who believe that after 50 something years of this PNM government, that the PNM government still will do something for black people. they really believe that. So I know in Trinidad and Tobago there's a mindset that is averse to change. But the colleges league could serve like the Belgian model, which is the school infrastructure, the school environment, the school nurturing and nutrition that takes place, the value system within the schools. In Trinidad and Tobago, where we are still a community-based, faith-based people, will serve as the perfect platform for boys to improve. Because everybody we named before came to the college system. Every footballer of merit, of note, that you could call in Trinidad and Tobago came to the colleges league, in spite of itself. Because, as you said, when we finished the colleges league before, we'll go and take a sweat with Maple. Or we'll go up in Elias and play with a top side in the minor league. But here now, people 15, 16, I hear people 15, 16 contacting me when I came in Mandela, telling me they have a son who never played on a national youth team like you did, who never played for a college team like you did or I did, asking me if I could take the children out to play in Europe. Everybody's studying money. Everybody's studying money before the boy or the girl put in the work to really improve our craft and become a better player. And that is sad. And the colleges league really need to look at itself and say this.
And let me give you some more, while you're correct, let me give you some more bad news. There's a primary school league, Atlantic Primary School League.
Yeah, I heard about it, yeah.
You know that the main trophy that they give out is a under 15 or under 14 league?
How will you be under 14 in primary school?
Go to the head of the class. That is but that's what I'm telling you. They have 14-year-olds in primary school playing, and they're playing and they're winning the title, and coaches boasting that they're beating 10-year-old and 11-year-old. The Atlantic Primary School Football League, the biggest trophy, is a under 14.
Coach, I was 15, when I was 14, 15 years old, I was playing like in Idiot against big men already.
Yes, when I was 15, I had 7 1s and 2 A's in O-level. Them in primary school.
Look at that. You already at O-levels at 15, going on 16.
But there's a primary school league trophy. The main trophy is a under 14 league. So people and teachers and coaches and so on keep children. So they reward a poor academic performance by keeping you in a primary school to go and rip.
Yeah. Anil, hold up, brother, hold up. Then you really hit the nail on the head there. In other words, it's not a failure of the player, like we were talking only. It's a failure of the administration to put a structure in place That makes sense.
Correct.
So if you have boys who win in the league at 15 years old in the primary school level, when they go in the colleges league and playing against boys, I understand now, Naparima and Gasib and them winning trophy with boys who's 20 years old. And 20 years old, I was into my third year in university in the States.
Yes, the secondary schools league has gone up now. You have people 19 and 20 playing in that. When I was 15, I was on the bench for Fatima, and we went and played down in Sandotech in Guerra Park. And here Sandotech team, David Nakhid, you must have leave and gone out at American University by then. Here Sandotech team, Russ Russell in goal. Kendall Walks and Marvin Fostin in the back there. In the middle, Latapi, up front of Leonson Lewis. It's a 9 of the Nazis on Sandotech. I sit down on the bench there. Scott Rodriguez in goal. Them running all over we. But Scott only saving and they hitting the post and thing. By the end of the game, they play extra minute. We hold them 0-0, but they should have scored about 40. But Rodriguez saved 20, and the rest of the shot on them hit the pole. By the end of the game, both posts brung with mud, because it's only posts rocking and thing. When the coach looked down the bench, Colin Murray looked down the bench for substitute with about 25 minutes ago. It's the only game in the history of my life. I hide. I do so and I look back. So I lean back. I don't want the coach to see me. I want to go on that field. Hey, it's 8 Nashies on Sandotech playing back then.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the Colleges League really has to take a look at itself and revamp, come back new. I spoke with Shaka Islap while he was ambassador, and he for that league, and he had told me that he was trying to talk with them about that same thing, about one, going in consultations with the parents to have the league extended from 3 months to at least 6-7 months on it. It's impossible, as you know, to have, if you really into a sport and you want to choose football as your possible profession or your way to get an education, you can't be playing it for 3 months of the year. And 2, you cannot have boys 15, 16 years old playing against boys who are 19, 20 years old. At that age, as you know, especially in football, very unfortunate, because we do have coaches here. If they do not know, they are willing to learn. And people tend to get caught up in all sorts of distractions. And I say this, and not because I'm on with you. It's really a crime, I would say, that to have a coach like you with the knowledge that you have. And I'm talking about swimming. People have you down as a swimming coach. They do not know. You could coach anything. I've said that before. And it's unfortunate that people look at, as we talked about before, UNC and this and that, and that doesn't matter. Knowledge is knowledge. And excellence is excellence. And I think we need to have the right people in place to effect those changes on it. It cannot continue how we are. Trinidad and Tobago, just like how the PNM have us back economically and on all indices, soon we will be obliterated. Soon we cannot be Grenada and these countries, you know. And I'm telling you, soon we can't beat Guyana and think teams we used to give 5 and 6. As a matter of fact, Jack Warner refused to bring us home to play against them kind of teams, Ghana and Grenada. Jack Warner would never bring me or Latas home. He would never bring us home to play them games. We had enough players to play against those teams. Now, boy, it's a different story.
Well, my brother, that's what we're talking about, and that is football. And we are in a nightmare across the board, and we have not even spoken about girls football, women's football, junior football, and we have people at the helm that were put there by the PNM. That normalization committee is a PNM committee. Haddad is a PNM. Romano is the PNM chairman of National Flour Mills. He coming to raise flour price just now on top of people for Christmas. They're going to do that. And across the board there is pain. David Nakhid, you are a man on the ground. We have about 3 or 4 minutes before we cross to DouglAR Politics live simultaneous stream on the radio, Facebook and YouTube. In 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, David Nakhid. People are suffering. What? Give them some kind of hope. Is there any hope? I and all today feeling kind of like, boy, oh Lord, I feel to cuss.
Man, I will tell our people, all our people, and I said it before on several platforms, that we have to reconcile what we want with how we are. You know, we cannot keep cursing, and we know inside our house, we know that the reason Trinidad and Tobago is in this state, despite all the Rowley, stupid talk and Fitzgerald Hines, I mean, two absolute clowns, despite all the talk they come with, our people, they realize that the PNM have us in this situation that we are. But if they cannot for one moment, for the sake of their children, see past the race, look past the race and all the distractions, and realize the only way, and what do you want me to sugarcoat and tell you? There's nothing that can be done other than to vote this PNM government out. There's nothing that can be done. And I'm telling the people, and the people say, you know, they could say what they want about David Nakhid, but they can never say anything but I've always worked for the people. And I'm telling them that there will be no difference now. I'm telling them that the UN... And I, as a man, don't talk about nobody just so. I don't follow anybody blindly. You know, and she has assembled a team. You know what I mean? They used to talk about young and this and that. But that's what we want. We want young people involved, and we want young people to effect change. You know? So Trinidad and Tobago has to realize, if they want the change that they want to see, they have to be part of it. They have to be part of this people's revolution, whether it's in sport, whether it's in their own personal life, whether it's the small and medium enterprises. We cannot continue to live in a society where the 1% alone flourish and back the government through the Guardian media, Sabga News, through the Express, which has become a real disgusting rag in itself. You know what I mean? These people don't do what they're supposed to do, which is report news. They're not supposed to make news. They're not supposed to be on the side of a government who given them propaganda money. You know? But I hope I go over my time. But
no, I'm talking to Corky there because you have another minute or so, and then we cross into DouglAR Politics. But it is true. We have we have protests coming up. We have the pushback on November 30th, and then on December 12th, Sunday, December 12th, we have the United National Congress driving rally. All right? Okay, my brother David Nakhid, we thank you. God bless. We're going to cross to DouglAR Politics. Okay. Good evening and welcome to DouglAR Politics. Football Normalization Committee, football bankrupt. Normalization Committee seeking to declare TTFA insolvent. Robert Haddad, I'm very confused. You went in, FIFA appointed, Rowley appointed, PNM appointed, Shamfa appointed, NFM chairman, PNM, NFM chairman, going to take over football. And now you're going to file for insolvency and bankruptcy. But all the time you there, you draws in a pay. You paying yourself $4,000 to $6,000 US per month, and then come to ball insolvency, and all the creditors and all the poor men and all the men who own salary, you owe them salary from years. The trainers, the physiotherapists, the ballmen, the fieldsmen, the groundsmen, the maxi taxi workers, the caterers, all they just go in and shaft them. But look, but PNM is a beautiful thing, you know. The PNM feel like them is Angostura bitters. Them have to be in everything. Them have to control everything, from police to president to police service commission to speaker to senate to parliament to the media association to the EBC. Across the board, the PNM must control everything. So they control football. And in the insolvency, the only person them could find an accountant to guide them through the process is small pin former common law wife. Isn't that amazing? Now she's highly qualified. I'm not questioning her qualification. She's a brilliant lady, knows her accounting. But you don't think, ma'am, because of your closeness to the government, because of the PNM's involvement, because the normalization committee dropped from the ground, because one of the members is the PNM chairman of NFM, you don't think you should stay out of that, because the creditors and the government may have to step in, or should have, or may will, or maybe might, or we don't know, there's no plan. You don't find that if you know, or you had a close relationship of 10 years with the super minister of the PNM, that you should say, hey, some other accountant handle that now. I staying out of that. All you don't find so. But anyway, in Trinidad and Tobago, that's what goes on. Normal is normal. They want to put a man on a police service commission who working for men who need to buy and sell guns and ammunition. Well, what I'm going to say? Football coaches, stakeholders to protest no football tomorrow. Excellent, very good. But some of y'all are hearing about, we don't want to make it political. What do you mean you don't want to make it political? The people who made a decision to stop you from playing football is the PNM, the government, the politicians, the People's National Movement, Convent Girl. His name is Dial Singh. He's a PNM in a red shirt. They made a decision without knowledge, not understanding the benefits of football sport, how to conduct sport during a pandemic, the whole world playing sport, but the PNM in Trinidad and Tobago, the government who got there through politics, is holding back this country. They have failed across the board. And y'all are saying, well, we want to protest their stupidity, but we don't want to make it political. So what it is? I'm not understanding. The only reason you cannot play off football is because the PNM does not believe in football. They don't believe in sport. They put a minister, the only thing looking better in sport is she. She looking better, I must say, from what it came to where it's at. It's improvement. The DouglAR always applauds improvement. Look at what it was. Yes, Archie, don't be afraid. That's what it was. Yeah, I don't know if you have what it is. You may not have that because we didn't plan to do that. But it's not this again. Put back what it was. I must say it improved. But everything else in sport has gone backwards. They have taken away the funding for sport. If you're talking pure football, the United National Congress, politics, yes, politics. The United National Congress used to support the TT Pro League to 11.29 million a year, plus a further 5 million for the administration of football. The UNC politics used to support the semi-pro league, the super league, used to enable secondary school football to use the stadium free of charge. National teams will get up to $22 million, men's and women's teams, coaches, supporters, physiotherapists, training field, travel, the Pro League teams like Caledonia when they went out to play Gold Cup and so on, the UNC, the yellow team, the political team, the political directorate of the UNC supported football across the board. Grassroots program had a national coaching program waiting their cabinet approved to be implemented to create a technical director for the National Ministry of Sport across, divide the country by the 14 corporations and the THA and come down. So what you're talking about, you don't want politics. Politics is who have all, you're not playing football. Politics is who have all, you're not getting funding. Politics is why our children have no opportunities. Politics is why we are not in tournaments. The PNM does not care about football. The PNM, all the grounds are dilapidated and not maintained. That is politics. Politics is life. Politics impacts your life. And not understanding, you all have been beaten over the head. You want to know why? Because they still want you, how you're born, to go and vote PNM. That's what has been ingrained in us. Shake it off. Politics is not a bad word. Politics is not a bad thing. Politics, you're supposed to vote for what assists you in what's important to you. But in this country, we have been taught, it has been socialized into us. No, leave the PNM there. Yes, they're doing nonsense. We would like an improvement over here, but even though they're the ones making decisions, leave them there now. But we don't want them to not like us. Nonsense! Politics is a choice. You have one side, the red side, the PNM side, that is suffering sport, suffering football. Put the normalization committee of PNM on top of your head to not let all you play football. COVID-19, no football from the PNM. If you want football, vote UNC. It's very simple. Diyal Singh, the Prime Minister, calls the shot on team sports. Hear this now. Terence Diyal Singh, who's telling the footballers they cannot play football. I now finish watching New Zealand beat England, shocking, and to go into the final of the World T20 cricket. All across the globe, they have Formula 1 racing. NASCAR had a race the other day with 180,000 people. They have NBA basketball mashing up the place, NFL football, college football, Auburn playing Alabama, 105,000 people in the stands. But we in Trinidad and Tobago, with this bag of duns, cannot even let fully vaccinated footballers play a game without crowd, without sport. We have nothing going on because of this stupidity. Here Diyal Singh. Terence Diyal Singh, the convent girl, said, measures to be implemented and to be rolled back have always been the domain and the prerogative of the Prime Minister, based on consultation with the Minister of Health. The Ministry of Health does not make those decisions. So for team sports, beaches, safe zones, alcohol, full service, places of worship, it is always the prerogative of the Prime Minister. Really? But I thought for the last 22 months, we are hearing Rowley saying, well, it's not me. Y'all on lockdown, shut down and broke down. It's not me. You can't go to the beach. It's not me. I am listening to the science. I am following the science. I am listening and taking directive from the CMO, from the doctors. The doctors are running this show. Wait, I must need a blue tablet, Archie. I thought that was what they were saying all the time. That it is the doctors, the science, all the SOE, the oppression, the ridiculous plans, programs that don't work, the nonsense that say you can't go by the beach, but you could go in Rahal Water Park. They said that was the scientists, the doctors, Abdul Richards, Dr. Hoyt, and CMO, sweet boy, honorary doctorate for doing things regionally. Me and Trinidad is the whole region. But Archie, am I right or am I wrong? How it reached that is the Prime Minister prerogative now? Didn't he say it was the doctors that they follow the science? Run it. Let me check.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago, taking the advice of the scientists and the public health experts who have been trained for this, and making the political decisions as to what we do and what we don't do.
But the decisions are going to be based, as they have always been based, on the science and on the data.
But the PNM offers you science
communication on a daily basis, leadership and patriotism, and led by a Prime Minister who is a scientist above all.
We were following the science and taking firm governmental decisions based on the advice of our health department. The actions of the government of Trinidad and Tobago have been guided by the information provided to us by our technical people, and our national decisions have been made based on the science. To a restaurant where large numbers of people are involved and exposed to one another for a significant period of time. It's a different arrangement.
The Prime Minister reiterated that government's decisions are based on data and science.
The science.
The scientists and
use science.
Science and the science.
Prime Minister reiterated that government's decisions are based on data and science.
Of Health does not make those decisions. So for the team sports, beaches, safe zones, alcohol, full service, place of worship, it's always been the prerogative of the Prime Minister. Really? That's what y'all have been saying? Well, now they talk the truth, because the amount of stupidity that has been going on, science could not explain that. But you see, they was lying all the time, but now they are going and tell the truth, that it's not the CMO, it's not Dr. Hines, it's not Dr. Trotman, it's not Dr. Abdul Richards. Dr. Parasram told them not to go to Tobago. I'm seeing a little spike. Be very careful. Do not invite people to go to Tobago for Easter. And Rowley ignored Parasram, ignored the science, ignored the doctors, and made his own decision, because all these decisions that have been made are made by the Prime Minister, and it has been stated here categorically by Diyal Singh. So all the mamagism and the lies that you all have been fed daily from them, here Diyal Singh. Measures to be implemented and to be rolled back have always been the domain and the prerogative of the Prime Minister. The Ministry of Health does not make those decisions. So for team sports, beaches, safe zones, alcohol, full service, places of worship, it is always the prerogative of the Prime Minister. Well, confession, good for the soul, but we know that. But now the population also knows it. So now, let me tell you, Ariapita Road, initial repairs, nearing completion, Archie boy. Archie, the whole 4 days. Remember the sinkhole in Stuart Young constituency, up there on Ariapita Road, Rich People Road, up in St. Anne. Ooh, big house and thing up there. Actually, if you see that hole, one big hole, in 4 days, the work nearly completed. They look at this, all this kind of big retainer wall, all kind of action. What about people in Beetham? Over 8-9 weeks, people in Beetham suffering with the stench of sewage. And they tell you about it go finish in December 2nd. So 11, 12, 13, 14 weeks for you to get relief. But rich people, 4 days, thing fixed, and it didn't even smell stink. You understand? It's just a hole. In Beetham had a hole with feces smelling sick and making human beings sick. The stench that should never be accepted by any human being. And the PNM said, that Beetham lead that day. What all you want me to say? What you going to tell me? And then I can't vote UNC, always Indian. All right. But if the Indian will stop you from smelling tutu when you're sleeping, I think you should vote for the Indian. If the Indian will give you service, that when you need it, you get water and you get service and laptop for your children, well, vote Indian. If it's that what they're telling you, that you must vote for a black man who leave you smelling toilet whole day, whole night, sleeping. You can't even love up your girl, your wife. When you're loving, she have you smelling. Man can't even operate under that. Whether honey goat weed or no honey goat weed, a man cannot perform in a toilet. Well, some of them PNM, they just do that. But you understand? Rich people get fixed up fast. Beat them. All right. Port of Spain Archdiocese to raise 21 million for schools. The Catholic Church raising 21 million to support schools. What 21 million? Why is this? You don't see these things when Kamala is Prime Minister. You don't see these things when Tim Gopi Singh is Minister of Education. You don't see these things when Fazal Karim is Minister of Tertiary Education. Because the UNC believes in education, and your money, the taxpayers' money, is directed to the schools, to the children, to the development of the educational facilities and equipment for the kids. But when the PNM says wean yourself off, and they can recuse themselves 210 times, and its friend, family, and financiers across the board, this is what has to happen. The project called the Archdiocese of Trinidad and Tobago Catholic Education Plan aims to raise an ambitious 21 million in 3 years to reduce the effects of socio-economic development challenges in its schools, particularly its primary schools in underserved areas. Underserved areas mean at-risk areas. At-risk areas also correlate to PNM constituencies. This is money that is going to be raised from private sector and donations to assist PNM people in PNM areas that vote PNM. She said children who have not had access to electronic devices or the internet have lost 2 years of education. We would like to change that. Well, I applaud that. But my point is that should not be the job of the churches. They should help out a bit. But the government policy should take the lead, take the lion's share, grab the need by the horn and provide resources. That's what politics is. All you have been taught that politics are a bad thing. Oh, I'm going to protest. I'm really going to protest against the PNM. It's the PNM making the decision. The PNM oppressing me. But oh my goodness, I don't want them to get angry with me. CPL recycle. My goodness. Well, the West Indies, I don't even want to talk about that. But after that thing that took place in the World Cup, my boy Captain Pollard, Kyron Pollard, said he has urged young West Indies players to think bigger than the Caribbean Premier League and believes the region needs another 2020 tournament in order to properly develop the next generation. My brother Kyron Pollard, take your mind back to when you and Dwayne Bravo came into the office of the then Minister of Sport. You came to meet me when the Champions League was about. And you came to meet me to tell me that the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board was not treating you all fairly. That, you know, you wanted to play for Trinidad and Tobago. But the Cricket Board, if you play for your franchise teams, they would get the fee, the 250,000 US, the 150,000 US. And I took it upon myself to say that next year, because it was down to the wire, when Red Force wins the regional tournament, that you, Pollard, and any Trini that made our team, that made your franchise teams for the Champions League. Now, the Champions League don't exist now, so you all have to go back in time. It was champions of all regions, all areas, the club champion from South Africa, Australia, England, India, Pakistan, the IPL, and West Indies would meet in the Champions League. And I said, I will go to cabinet and get money to pay my players, because I did not believe that one should just say because they are patriots and they wear red, white, and black, that they should give up $1 million and play for zero. So I went in the cabinet, I got $5.3 million approved for Pollard, Bravo, and Sunil Narayan to play for Trinidad and Tobago in the Champions League. So we could replicate what happened in 2009 with Darren Ganga and the boys, that Trinidad and Tobago got so much benefit, so much marketing. Over 1.2 billion people looked at our red, white, and black and our brilliance, intelligence, teamwork, unity, and just saw all that is Trinidad and Tobago. Well, to cut a long story short, that's where the CPL came about. The CPL came about because the West Indies Cricket Board wanted to prevent a Trinidad and Tobago sport minister from impacting on them way and their money and their revenue, because they asked me, and let me give you all, I've not told the whole story, let me take my time and tell you. So while we were going ahead, and I said and made it clear each step of the way that Bravo, Sunil Narayan and Pollard will play for Trinidad and Tobago in the Champions League. I got calls from India. We were in cabinet meeting. Kamala Prasad, my sister, called cabinet in Tobago. And when we on a break, my phone rang with some long number on it. And I heard, hello, Mr. Minister, may I speak to Minister Anil Roberts, please? I say, yes, Anil Roberts here. This is Venki Venkataran from India. And blah, 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 blah. They want to know, they want Sunil Narayan to play for. I said, no. I'm telling you all up front, because I am fair, that you have to go and look for other players for the Champions League. We have first dibs based on the contract. We are the home team, and we are going to pay for our players to wear the red, white, and black of their country. So they won't be playing for you all. They're playing for us. We matching any fees you all pay. So all of that went wrong. Next thing you know, I at home on the balcony, and my phone ring, my people. And back then it was the CEO of the WICB. I forget his name, a red man. He called. This was 2011, 2012. 2011. He said, Mr. Minister, the CEO of the WICB, I want you all to hear what I am saying. I said, good evening, who is this? And he told me his name. You all cricketers will remember his name. Just check back 2011, who was the CEO? He said, well, Mr. Minister, I would like to beseech you to allow Pollard, Bravo, and Sunil Narayan to play for their franchises in the Champions League. I said, excuse me? He said, yes, we'd like you to allow them to go and play for their franchises instead of playing for Trinidad and Tobago. I said, what does this have to do with you? This is Trinidad and Tobago. You are WICB. I say, can you repeat what you're saying, please? He said, Minister, we would like, as the WICB, that you allow Bravo, Pollard, and Narayan to play for their I said, listen to me very carefully. I just wanted to make sure I was hearing what I'm hearing. I said, when you pick your team and you leave out Trini because you need to put more Bajan or Jamaican, or you need to put more Lucian because the president is saying Lucian, I could call you and tell you who to pick on your team. I say, you are fastened out of place and you better hang up this phone before I have to tell you some French. He said, okay, Minister, sorry. I said, no, sorry. I said, have a good night. That, just after that, the WICB went and found some little businessmen who had an idea to come and bring franchise cricket to the Caribbean. This was the CPL. And the WICB, the same men who called me begging, because them want money, begging me to not pay, or not give an option to Tobagonian players to play in their country colors. They went and signed a contract with the CPL, this little group of businessmen from nowhere, for 50 years. But here the key point, which like Pollard does not know, he's played in the CPL and they boost the CPL and they love the CPL. For 50 years in the Caribbean, there can be no T20 tournament other than the CPL franchise cricket. There can be no regional T20 tournament. Have you all seen one in the last 9 or 10 years of the CPL? Have you all seen Trinidad and Tobago versus Jamaica versus Guyana versus Windward Islands versus CCC? You've seen it in 50 overs that nobody's watched. Have you seen it? Because the contract says no other regional tournament. The West Indies sold out the rights to the lucrative thing and handed to the CPL just because they wanted the powers that be at the BCCI and the IPL, who control cricket now, to have their pick of all the players. Well, with the Champions League crash after that. But I was talking during the height of the Champions League. Do you know in the IPL, they bring in 2 new franchises? Do you know that they sold one of the franchises for $1 billion US and the other one for 760 million US dollars? So Mr. Pollard, My brother, Captain, you unfortunately do not know. Our players cannot play regional. We cannot have a Caribbean T20 tournament with Trinidad and Tobago versus Barbados versus Guyana versus Jamaica versus Windward Islands versus anywhere else. We cannot have it for 41 more years because the WICB sold out to the IPL and the CPL is an amalgam of that nonsense. Didn't you remember the first year when the Talawas won and Chris Gale said, you know how long we want to beat Trinidad? And it was not Trinidad. It was the Red Steel. It was not the Red Force. When they created the CPL, don't you all recall? They put Bravo as our captain here in the franchise in Trinidad. They put Pollard in Barbados. They put Ramdin in and Sunil Narayan in Guyana. They put Rampal up and Lendl Simmons all over the place. And then they pick 6 players. And normally they put us to pick last. So they mash up our country, mash up our Red Force. For the CPL, that was what I was fighting, but I was a lone soldier. No big thing. All you didn't understand. Sometimes when you have too much information, it is very painful. So now my Captain Pollard, while you know what is sensible, 9 years after Anil knew what was sensible, and you now realize that we need more cricket, more exciting cricket, more T20 cricket, more players playing. Do not depend on the CPL only. We need international matches and so on. We can't have it. Because your board sell all you out since long time. So bless. I'm sorry I went on long, but I had to let my captain know. So, what can I say? In Trinidad and Tobago though, protests in Mamaral over bad road. Savannah, look at bad roads all over this place. Princess Tongue, Naparima, Mamaral, Palmis, Palo Seco, Labre, Tobago, they're talking about pothole city. And this government says that they have performed. The roads have never been in this state ever. The colonial masters never had the roads in this state. The US, when they were down here, never had the roads in this state, down in the Western Peninsula. All over Trinidad and Tobago, people are just crying out because of poor service, bad roads in Trinidad and Tobago. And not only that, the minister man going to talk, he opened a booster somewhere. And talking about this is what we do in Wassa, and we're going to open another booster somewhere else. Well, Minister Man, Archie, look, I don't know if you could come in, you mightn't be able to, but if you all see, this is a man jumping, running around the savannah, and he had to jump. Look at all that water wasting. That water wasting around the savannah for the last 2 months or 3 months. People cannot even exercise. This minister man who is absolutely incompetent come here to study about investigation into man. Then, if it's not one thing, it's the next thing. Quarrying, a disaster sector. And this is, imagine in Trinidad and Tobago, reports of indiscriminate quarrying across Trinidad and Tobago, where even in Pointe-à-Pierre, Claxton Bay, where David Lee had to look at it, where David Lee had to message Clarence Rambarat and he was too busy by Boudit, he never answered. Donna Cox put on an extra wig and went down to Mamagai the people. The quarrying has started back. Quarrying all over this country is unregulated. They are taking out, they're building houses on top of fertile land. The quarrying is just digging out without planting back trees, without any sort of formation. Citizens are being distressed, and Rowley going to COP26 and wonder why nobody want to listen to him. He don't understand why people made a point to empty the room when he was going to talk, because in every aspect of the environment the PNM has failed, whether it's oil, gas, smelter, oil spill, cleanup, crushing, whatever it is. The PNM has failed. They're now coming to talk about electric cars. You know how expensive are electric cars? Only Imbat and Al Rawi could buy that. And then they could probably sell it to Kewal Singh. The Prime Minister admits no gas for train 1. Let me pause. Let me drink some water on this one. Your Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, He admits now, after his government has wasted $750 million, $440 million on Train 1, after the major shareholders, Shell and BPTT, had said since way back in 2019, and Kevin Ramnarine also told the nation on a Facebook post on May 11, 2019, that the infill drilling had failed and there were dry wells, and therefore Atlantic LNG would have to be mothballed. Kevin Ramnarine of the UNC knew that. If Kevin Ramnarine was the Minister of Energy at that time, there would have been no wastage and throwing away or corrupt disposal of $440 million, because Kevin Ramnarine would not have done that. He would have redirected resources into an area where the population could have benefited. The PNM under Keith Rowley, with the arrogance, ignorant, doted self that created problems from the onset in 2017 when they took over the negotiations for gas with the upstreamers and Jerry Brooks had to resign. That's when the problem started. So when information came to hand to say that Atlantic train was dead, Keith Rowley and Stuart PNM Small Pin Young took your taxpayers' dollars, paid $440 million, and now they come to tell you, Rowley admits no gas for Train 1. Look at Kevin Ramnarine, what he said, May 11, 2019. Well done, Archie. See how I don't lie to all, I tell all your facts. Look at the failure of infill drilling programs will affect BPTT's ability to supply Train 1. It should be noted that BPTT is the sole supplier of natural gas to Train 1. The consequence of the most recent news is the likely closure, mothballing of Train 1. That's 2019. That's UNC. And you all still want to say politics? Don't bring politics. Politics impacts every single factor, every single element in your lives. If you turn on your tap now and you're hearing and no water, that's politics. If your child cannot go to school and has not gone to school for 20 months, that's politics. If you're one of the nearly 1,800 people dead of COVID-19, that's politics. If your business shut down and 44% of businesses will never open back up, that's politics, because we have idiots in charge. Absolute idiots. 230 million Train 1 wreck, says the Daily Express. And I'm going to read this whole thing, Archie. It's the opinion page from the Daily Express, Tuesday, 9th November 2021. You know why I'm going to read this entire thing? Because the Express played politics. The Express, as I showed you all, had Asha Javid writing lies and printing it, and she still has a job, even though she has the most scathing judgment against a newspaper and a reporter in history of the Caribbean. The Express pushed between 2010 and 2015 to get Rowley into that chair as the office of the Prime Minister. And now the Express has woken up because of the thunder, the pain, the abject darkness, the incompetence that they and all have, they're forced to see, they cannot even hide. And in the editorial of Tuesday, 9th November 2021, the Daily Express says, 230 million Train 1 wreck. Almost as an aside to his report on COP26, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley all but pronounced the death of Atlantic LNG Train 1. His admission has come 10 months after majority owners, Shell and BP, pulled the plugs on their Train 1, indicating that there was no gas to support it. To the astonishment of some, state-owned National Gas Company, which has a 10% stake in Train 1, countered with a rescue plan under the NGC, would fund 100% of the cost of keeping Train 1 alive for the duration of 2021. Where Shell and BP saw no gas, NGC
saw a potential supply line drawing gas diverted from its downstream clients at Point Lisa. These were clients engaged in active and advanced gas price negotiations and were resisting NGC's attempt to pass on the price increase to which it was committed following the agreement struck between Dr. Rowley and the producers during his 2017 trip to Houston. NGC's Train 1 rescue plan was based on the calculation that the COVID-hit ammonia and methanol market would remain depressed and would prompt its downstream clients into economic shutdown, which is an option contractually available to them. Unlike NGC, which has a take-or-pay contract with the upstreamers, the downstream companies have no such obligation and can stop the clock on gas payments to NGC by invoking economic shutdowns. As it turned out, NGC's Train 1 high-risk rescue plan backfired when the gas that NGC was counting on failed to materialize. By the end of May, the state enterprise had thrown US $32.9 million, roughly TT 250 million, behind Train 1 with no sign of gas, no sign of gas. Another US $6 million is said to have been racked up for the period June to July, which was not paid as scheduled. In early August, Atlantic terminated the funding arrangements, giving the requisite 2 days notice to NGC effective August 5th, 2021. Throughout it all, and for months thereafter, the government, the PNM government, the Keith Rowley government, the Stuart Smallpin Young government denied reports of the disastrous outcome of NGC's investment in keeping Train 1 alive, insisting it was the subject of ongoing confidential negotiations. Not satisfied with pulling wool over the public's eyes, a campaign was unleashed against journalist Curtis Williams, seeking to undermine the credibility of his reporting. A campaign unleashed and carried out by Keith Christopher Rowley and Stuart Smallpin Young, attacking a reporter who got it right, who got it absolutely, lucidly clear and correct. That's what you call bullying. That's what you all voted for. Politics is very serious. Politics has consequences. Election and the vote and you dip your finger, it means something. That's the kind of character of people. The man right. That is like Lance Armstrong attacking the media and all of those who say he was cheating, he was doping, he was taking drugs, and he attacked all of them, take them to court, bully them, shout down at them, and he was a Franco-meant old thief, Lance Armstrong. Not satisfied with pulling wool over the public's eyes, a campaign was unleashed against journalist Curtis Williams, seeking to undermine the credibility of his reporting. No less a personage than the Prime Minister through words from a political platform. Given Dr. Rowley's staunch support for the President of the NGC, the public has no reason to expect accountability in this matter. Perhaps because the train of events started with Dr. Rowley's 2017 agreement to the payment of higher gas prices. The Express now printing the truth. How long has David Lee been saying this? How long has Kamala Prasad been saying this? How long has Wade Mark been saying this? How long has Jerlyn John been saying this? How long has Anita Haynes been saying this? How long has the UNC been saying this? That the catastrophic, idiotic negotiation by Keith Christopher Rowley in 2017 and Stuart Smallpin Young in Houston caused the entire downfall of the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago. That, coupled with the shutdown of Petrotrin, Rowley has decimated the very essence of our country. And now the Express editorial prints the truth. Every time a company shut down at Point Lisa's, The newspapers, the media should have been shouting, shame on Rowley. When Jerry Brooks resigned, they should have hounded Jerry Brooks to get inside information on why. Because truth be told, Jerry Brooks resigned because of that Houston trip. Franklin Candy, Minister of Energy, was left here. Trinidad and Tobago and future generations have suffered from that stupidity by Keith Christopher Rowley and Stuart Smallpin Young. Our revenues have decreased and diminished. NGC made a loss for the first time in its history. People, the PNM is talking about taxing the people to get more revenue because even existing revenue streams have dried up because of the incompetence of the PNM. And listen to the Express. I told you I had to read the whole thing for y'all because I nearly get heart attack. I had to nearly go by, but I couldn't go by no hospital because there are no ambulance, a man waiting. Man, I nearly going into coma, and 2-3 hours later, no ambulance had reached. They say they're stressed out because of COVID-19. Everything in this country in collapse. Let me read it for you again. Given Dr. Rowley's staunch support for the president of NGC, the public has no reason to expect accountability in this matter, perhaps because the train of events started with Dr. Rowley's 2017 agreement to the payment of higher gas prices. That was the agreement in Houston, and it is my information that Mark Loquan went up there too, and that was a bacchanal between Jerry Brooks and him. And now Jerry Brooks, well, he's a PNM, so he just sit down and hush, but the country has suffered because he hushed. Because had he told the truth, had the Express and all these newspapers told the truth, this was 2017. The people went to an election in 2020 not knowing this, that the train of events started with Dr. Rowley's 2017 agreement to the payment of higher gas prices. The Express also says here that the public, meaning the newspaper, do you know the Express, has no reason to expect accountability in this matter. So Express, what does that mean? All you just know, Rowley's a bully, Rowley's a liar, Rowley's a email gate, Rowley's a Renaissance, Rowley's a Las Alturas, Noel Garcia spending all the money, Rowley's a recusal king, 210 recusals, no procurement, gut procurement legislation, legalized Stephen, and therefore you all throw up your hands and you all say there will be no accountability. So what to do? Just go on, Express? Listen to what the Express says, you know. The public has no reason to expect accountability in this matter. So the Express has thrown its hands up and say, well, we elected an arrogant, ignorant liar, so take that. What we going to do? 400 million, 600 million, 2 billion, 20 billion, 28 billion, savings gone, economy gone. What to do? Express? Let me tell you what to do, Express. Number one, going forward, print the truth. Get investigative journalists that are not beholden to the PNM. Any of your writers and so on who are members of MAT, tell them come out, because MAT is a PNM party group now with Ira Matura and Asha Javid and promoting Kijan Haynes, who's attacking the opposition. Nobody wanted to be friends with the opposition. Ask everybody hard questions, get the facts, get the truth, print the truth. Had you been doing this long time, we would have gotten rid of Rowley because we would have reached the tipping point. And when we talk the tipping point, how everybody should read this book by Malcolm Gladwell. It's the tipping point about how things get wide acceptability. How, when they talk about products and so on in business and so on, how things just go, how they go across global, like internet, phone, these things, how they just went. It didn't start off so, it reaches a tipping point. When decisions are made, when a mass of people is needed to make a decision, how do you get to that point where the decision is made? In politics, how we get to that point is through the media, through the stories, through the truth being printed. Would Rowley have ever reached any tipping point to reach into the seat of Prime Minister if the newspapers had told the truth, that he was a franco-ment liar, that those things he brought into the Parliament were nasty, disgusting, concocted fabrications? Rowley would have never, even Orville London said, the one who comes up short in email gate would have a political price to pay. Rowley came up and was branded a liar. Everybody know he lied. They were concocted, they were not emails. Has he paid a political price? No, because media. So you're asking what to do. Don't throw up your hands and say, well, we will never get accountability. You, the Express, you, the media, along with us, we will too, must demand accountability, must demand answers, must demand that heads roll. The whole board must go. Rowley must go. The Minister of Energy must go. Laquan must go. That's what the media does. How can you tell me you're the most powerful newspaper? The most powerful newspaper in the country. You turn this into a weapon, this newspaper, against Kamla Prasad Visesa for 5 years and 8 months with warped, biased, investigative journalists printing and using your power to put a perception in the mind and carrying people to the tipping point that Kamla was excellent, government performed, but corrupt, thief, all lies. But it was used, your paper was used. Now you throwing up your hands in the air and you do not know what to do when the person that you help promote and put in the seat is the most incompetent, dishonest, lying, arrogant, failure as a leader. Don't throw up your hands now. You must now move to the side of righteousness and truth. Use the power of the media properly. I detest Rowley. You hear the word I use? Detest. In all aspects. As a man, he's a scumbucket. Man go outside, inside children. As a man who need to get pum-pum. Real men are chivalrous. They court the pum-pum. They don't use pressure to get pum-pum. That's disgusting. That's sick. Rowley is sick. So I detest Rowley. He's also a liar and the worst leader, the most arrogant, heartless, clung out. He's ashamed to be black, and there's nothing I would ever see in Rowley that is good. But not one day, not 1 second, not 1 minute will I come here and lie on Rowley. Not once. I never will. And I detest him. So what I'm saying to you, media, is the truth is there. You are printing the truth now. I don't know why, but this is your job. Find the truth. Taxpayers' money thrown down the drain. Who, which contractors got that money? Why, where, when, how? Who's going to be responsible? You're just kind of moving on. You're just kind of giving up. I can't believe this statement. Imagine the Express is saying, the public has no reason to expect accountability in this matter. Perhaps because the train of events started with Dr. Rowley's 2017 agreement to the payment of... Well, then you go back to 2017 because the first time around you all didn't do it. So press reverse and go and start printing the truth. $500 million of taxpayers' money wasted by the government. Letter to the editor, Linus F. Didier, Mount Hope. The Prime Minister has quietly pulled the plug on Train 1 of the Atlantic LNG project. $500 million were flushed down the toilet, and everyone said, great is the PNM, and let us move on. Don't study it. The warnings were given well in advance when the government via the National Gas Corporation was wasting money trying to prop up to Train 1 of the Atlantic LNG project. Those who gave the warnings were dismissed as simpletons because they did not understand the high science behind these complex operations. But now it's gone, and all of the simpletons were really warriors of truth. And the ones who are abusing and arrogantly shouting down from their bully pulpit, attacking media, journalists, and the opposition for bringing out the facts, they have now been seen to be what they are: dishonest, disgusting, corrupt decision makers who somehow have been allowed to remain in power. Here the next one, And Rowley praised two people. Mark Loquan, he said, is the greatest thing since me, you know. And Stuart Young is his poor Gary Sobers. I can't even say that. Gary Sobers, I withdraw. I can't even repeat it. Rowley said that, right? That Stuart Young is the greatest thing. He can't go nowhere without him. The negotiator. Here's Stuart Young. There is no need for a forensic audit into the National Gas Company, says Minister Stuart Young. So Express, you're correct. We don't expect accountability. What are you going to do about it, Express? I just DouglAR politics. I just get a few thousand views and so on now and again. You are the Express newspaper. 89,000 papers at your peak per day. And if 2-3 people read one newspaper, plus your online, plus your link to TV6, the #1 news in the last 25 years in Trinidad and Tobago. You can do something about it because you control the minds of the people, just like how you all put in the minds of the people that Kamala was brilliant but corrupt, corrupt, corrupt. You all know what you did with nonsense, lies, innuendo, and facts put in court that judges call your reporters and your editors irresponsible, unethical, immoral, and strangers to the truth. So Express, do it. Do your job. Use your power to get the truth, get the accountability. Because look, Stuart Young, who is the man who was Rowley, who Rowley boasts as the man who set the train in motion. He set the train in motion, and now the train crashed and killing the whole country. And now he say, Stuart Young say, no need for a forensic audit. The man who in charge, the man who do all the nonsense, the man who take the decisions, the man who give the directives, along with Keith Rowley, tell the country we ain't need no audit. From one clown to the next, Hines says, citizens must step up as the state of emergency ends. So you in a cabinet, you and Keith Rowley interfere with the Police Service Commission. Rowley had lost confidence, he says, as if anybody cares, in the sitting police commissioner. He utilized the president's power and a PNM infiltrated chairman of the Police Service Commission to thwart the merit list and prevent Trinidad and Tobago from having a commissioner of police or acting commissioner of police. People are dying, spike and surge in murders, robbery, kidnapping, rape, all kind of thing going on. And you now come as the Minister of National Security, who's overseeing this entire calamity, as a man who Rowley sell out as the person, the other politician who went to liaise, interface and intervene with the Police Service Commission on August 26th, 27th and 30th, 2021. You, Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines, telling the people that we must step up when the state of emergency ends. Not you, not the government, not the police, commissioner of police, not your crime fighting plan. You all have no responsibility for nothing. We, the people, must step up. Let's say the government has done all it can. It is now up to the citizens of this country to make the right decisions. Look, but you see, the government has done all it can. And it has failed. But yet what? You see how Trinidad and Tobago is not a real place? The man admitting the government has done all it can. State of emergency, total flop, total calamity. COVID-19 going out of hand. We worse off now than before the state of emergency started. Check it and see. The rate of increase and death has gone up. And he say, the AF done, the PNM has done all they can. They give up. It's your turn now. You, the people, will tell them, come out. Hines, contracts termination, not my call. National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines said, Trinidad is a land where if you ask 3 people their opinion, you will get 5. Speaking on the issue Monday, we're talking about the contracts, the 19 people there. Fitzgerald Hines said it was fluff that he was behind the police service cost-cutting exercise. Hines spoke on Monday at a media conference, right? He said, there is a fluff, there is a lot of noise. I put that in that column, Hines said. when asked if he was behind the termination of 19 contract workers on September 25th. The 19 either had their contracts terminated or not renewed. Those dismissed included Ryan. So Hines say, not me. But Hines, Jacobs done sell you out. They tell you don't walk with Jacobs because Jacobs does walk and shake up. Jacobs done say, we don't get direct instructions from the minister. We get his thoughts and his advice. Jacobs don't even know that no minister, no politician is to give anybody leading the police service any thoughts or advice on human resource, on operations, on allocations, or on units. But Hines taking over control. Because in the news today, page 17, when you all know that we're in a police state, and you're all happy with people that the Express is now saying we will never get accountability on that NGC, on people who went to Parliament to gut procurement to make it easier for them to thief your money, on people who lied in email gate to get into office to procure without procurement. These people who crashed the Police Service Commission, thwarted the duly constitutionally approved merit list, and put Trinidad and Tobago citizens in the greatest jeopardy ever without a commissioner of police. They who appoint DCP Jacobs as some accounting officer are now meeting with him in Hyatt to, as stated in the Wednesday Newsday, November 10th, page 17, to restructure special police units. So the Minister of National Security, a politician, a PNM politician, who was trying to thwart and influence who get this kind of position, the PNM kind of have he in a kind of position, and you all accepting that. He is taking decisions as if he is the Commissioner of Police, and all he is doing is meeting with Fitzgerald Hines and getting Fitzgerald Hines' thoughts and advice. But you had to work hard to get a thought from Ethelbert. Ethelbert didn't even know he take common entrance and not SCA. But the point is, the political interference continues unabated. On Monday, the police executive led by DCP McDonald Jacob met at the Hyatt Regency with National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. Jacob said the reorganization of specialized units would augur well for the police, as leaders in certain areas would receive training in other departments to make them better able to lead the organization. So he is meeting with a minister of national security to talk about the restructuring, reorganization, remanning, and human resource output of the police service, the independent police service, who's supposed to have the authority and special units to investigate he and lock up he pumpsy tail. That's where we reach. Y'all didn't understand what this is. When you're looking at Parliament and seeing a speaker thwarting and muting mic, when there's no debate, when independent senators are boasting that them had no mic, and they don't have anything to say, and they don't want to debate, and they don't mind if their time get cut short, and they're voting 95% of the time with the government. Kamala put down all the information there for you. Sure, Archie will have it. We'll see it just now. The fire service must get the tools it needs. Ethelbert again, so busy interfering with the Police Service Commission and the Police Service and this DCP Jacobs, giving him his thoughts and advice. The police under the fire service under small pin was totally under-resourced. The fire chief has been complaining 4 years straight about no tenders, no machines, no hoses, no equipment, no oxygen, no breathing apparatus, and so on. He has been at great pains complaining and begging this PNM to resource the fire service. Here the Guardian now on Wednesday, November 10th. The dire state of the service was driven home yesterday, the fire service, when Fire Officers Association President Leo Ramkisoon accused the Ministry of National Security of negligence in its handling of the service's needs. Ramkisoon has been vocal about the lack of equipment, including fire appliances, before, but reiterated that his colleagues are ill-prepared for even major house fires, much less the chemical disaster which was waiting to happen on the Gemini compound, where containers holding various chemicals and flammable liquids were stored. But the fire officers, look at that. Fire officers, though, want PM to intervene. They say they lack critical equipment. My people, you want the PM to intervene? The PM is the man who has been in charge for 6 years, that he has not intervened, that you all have suffered, that you don't have the equipment, that you're begging for. The PM put his super duper minister, super small pin over you, and yet you got nothing, no resources. The Prime Minister who you're talking about chairs the National Security Council and is fully aware of the devastating lack of resources that you have. And you all are now calling upon the incompetent human who has you in the dangerous position to intervene, but all they want are dead. Elections have consequences. And that's another one, you see. So no service for 4, 5 years. Election come. Yeah. And now you want them to intervene. And while we talking, this is all at Albert's incompetence, you know. Actually, while we talking, crime just going, bandits doing what they want. All across this country, the citizens are under siege. Watch this. Watch this carefully. In traffic, broad daylight. Turn up the flavor. Ole, I like them chips, local chips. Look at this. These young boys are just beating, abuses, trying to rob a truck driver. Look at this madness. In Trinidad and Tobago, it is pure anarchy. Because of the constitutional crisis, no police commissioner, bandits, the sufferation, no jobs, lack of any sort of diversification. The economy is shattered. And on top of that, Rowley says no FULs, no firearms for citizens. That truck driver had no firearm. If he had had a firearm, we may have had 4 less bandits. And I say that without, you all don't play. If you all go to do human beings that, if you are that vile. There was another video of a grocery, men robbing a grocery and beating the manager or the owner of the grocery as if he raped the child or something. Who the hell these bandits just feel they could do anything now? Because Rowley lost faith in Double G. Well, the bandits celebrating. This place has, everybody's running amok. That is broad daylight. Iramaturia did not resign yet. Asha Javid, you didn't resign. Did I Iramatur? Oh, God. Girl, when you resign, anyway, let me don't say nothing. Huh? Oh, Asha Javid, That's John Jeremy, for y'all who don't know, former PNM Attorney General, and then big PNM, all kind of thing he doing now. All the PNM. Look, Asha Express Javid, political investigative journalist. Did you resign yet, Asha Javid, from the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago? The Media Association members. Are y'all really going to accept that? Maybe y'all did not know. Y'all did not know that this pum-pum writer, investigative journalist, who practices pum-pum pen writing, is your vice president. So all you just PNM, all you just want PNM to like all you then. All you is not for Media Association. Y'all are not for the principles of journalism. Y'all are not for hard question, impartiality, double checking and triple checking. She have a judgment, go and read the judgment, you know. See, Balak Singh took her and the Express, Omati Laida and Irene Medina to court. and mash them up. And the judge was scathing, especially on this one. And y'all promote her to vice president of MAT, the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Really? That's just like Rowley getting promoted to prime minister after Emailgate. And then y'all wonder why nothing in the country working. Why everything is in shambles. And a man boasting about giving out food card. Ira Matur, let me say something now. When Kamala was prime minister, did you want some work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and you didn't get it? Maybe I'm talking too fast. Ira Matur, when Kamala Persad-Bissessar was prime minister, did you want a position under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and you were rejected? Were you? Is that true? Because I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how you tweeting with Kijan Haynes and setting up with Asha Javid to take over MAT, and your son writing and attacking and promoting PNM and attacking UNC. I'm trying to figure out why you would tweet that Kamala Persad-Bissessar was attacking a powerful woman as the president when it had nothing to do with man, woman, or child. It had to do with section 123(4) of the Constitution. I'm wondering how you could come to such a wrong conclusion. How you could be so vile and wicked and malicious to attack Kamala Persad-Bissessar in that way without having an iota of proof or evidence. And you say that you're a journalist and you're the president of the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago? Well, let me ask you a question. As a journalist, let me pretend I'm a journalist. Ira Matur. Back in the 2010-2015 period, did you have a deep desire to be somewhere under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? And were you rejected? How did that make you feel at that time? Were you happy? Were you pleased? Have you gotten over that rejection? Are you still impacted by that rejection? Does that rejection color your opinions about people who were in power at that time that you were rejected because you believe that you should get what you want? Please answer these questions. You know, journalists, from one journalist to another. I do not know journalists, I'm a UNC senator, a UNC commentator, and a believer in the policies of Kamala Persad-Bissessar. I bring facts to all you from my yellow shaded bald head. Okay? Move, Sheena. Well, Archie boy, Express say, fight for Tobago begins. Express, really? Why does he fight for Tobago front page? Why does he fight for Tobago begin at the PNM launch? Why it didn't begin when the announcement was made of the election date? Why the fight for Tobago didn't begin when the PDP launched the candidates and so on? Why it was not front page with PDP green and fight for Tobago? Why? You see the games you all play? You promote one side above another, and then you complain about no accountability and throw your hands up in the air. Express, it's disgusting. You've been unmasked. Are you going to improve or are you going to continue? Tracy, Davidson, Tricky Tracy in Tobago. People's religious perspective affect how they vote. Really, Tracy? Our faith affects the way we think about politics, she said. As ye believe, so shall ye vote. We have morals and have the right to choose between good and evil. When we get that balance between freedom and responsibility, then we get it right. As it says in Mark chapter 8, verse 26, says Tricky Tracy, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the world and lose his soul? Tracy, you're voting against Rowley. You're attacking Rowley. You're attacking Smallpin. You're attacking Imbot. You're attacking Convent Girl. You're attacking Minister Man. You're attacking Camille. You cannot be Tracy. But look, The PNM, where the PNM get all this money at it, all you can't get hamper. This is $40,000 here, no? $40,000 full school in 3 pay, $120,000. But I thought the country had no money. How Balize house going up big, 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 up in the sky, and how PNM have all this money, boy. And they're giving away food card without signing it. But let me tell you this. Ansel Dennis, you must not lie like your leader. Okay, Ansel Dennis? You're coming into the big boy politics now. Ansel Dennis, stop lying. Okay? Half Tobagonian DouglAR Anil is telling you, Ansel Dennis, stop the lying. You want to be chief secretary, talk about what you do, your plans, your programs, what you implemented in your fake chief secretary 10-month stint. Talk about your PNM, what you have done. But don't lie, Ansel Dennis. You're a young boy. Don't put yourself in the same category as that old 72-year-old lying, haggard leader you have. Because look what Ansel Dennis said at the launch of the PNM campaign in Tobago. He said, I want to remind the people of Tobago and the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the last time this country tried to ask for change, the last time we got the change that we asked for in 2010, we nearly didn't get the change from the last dollar left in the Treasury. And therefore, I am saying to the people of Tobago, watch what you do. Ansel Dennis, there was more money left by Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the People's Partnership than ever before in the history of Trinidad and Tobago by any government. The Heritage and Stabilization Fund was up at 7.6 billion US. The reserve was up at 12.26 billion US. 14 months import cover. The balance of payments was solid. The debt to GDP ratio was 61%. It is now at 95% and climbing to 100% before January 2022. When your PNM came in 2015, the cash reserves, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, all of the bank, the money, everything started to decline dramatically to the point where we are now. It's your PNM incompetence. And just to show you, Ansel Dennis, that you is a liar, listen to your Prime Minister tell you how much money was there in 2014, 2015 under Kamla Prasad Bisesa. So stop the lying, little boy. Okay? Run it.
This is cash in the bank. Because remember, with all the difficulty I was telling you and all the revenue and expenditure, a country has to have cash in the bank. Eh? A country doesn't go bankrupt with no cash. To manage a country in the international and your local environment, there are accounts that you have to keep, and it's against those accounts that you can borrow and spend and pay debt and so on. Cash in the bank, 2010. If you look at all those red lines, that's our cash in the bank. But if you observe, by 2014, we had a lot of money in the bank here, right? But that was when the collapse started. Luckily, we had that. But look at the direction since then. After all that I've told you, you shouldn't be surprised that we have been spending some of our cash in the bank. This is cash in the bank. Because remember, with all the difficulty I was telling you and all the revenue and expenditure,
The Tobagonian roots came. The grandfather Luther Robert who teach Anna Robinson and Robert all of them. Oh Lord, Principal Robert is shame too. Until Dennis. You telling people to vote for change from you? Oh Lord. I don't know what to say again. As we talking that. So much food there. You can see my food there. All you see is Joe guy waiting. See them getting worse. Under rowdy. You don't have to wait for them to get to the office now and then figure them out and get accountability. Them just boasting about it. Them boasting that they breaking it up. Boasting openly. You feel as you can make it and she show them.
I just end up in trouble with food card. Because when my packets come, other assemblymen will say, nah man, because it's 400 and change food cards I just bring and share it out to people. It's easy.
In the win. And I must say to persons with the one-off food card, I understand there are persons who have interest in being ambitious enough to represent the area of Providence, Ministerial, which I have no firm over. But please let us do the thing right. You can't just be giving out cards to people without no documentation. The cards are given to me, we distribute them, but he must sign for the cards. And we also instill in it what you call a declaration form. So we are clear that documentation is the most important and critical thing in going forward. We don't want to do this thing vaiki and have at the end of it, we have a whole heap of problems to clean up. So reported to the Chief Secretary, Mr. Dennis, on the issue, and I hope that is dealt with quickly because at the end of the day, we don't want these things to come back to be torn in the thistle later on in life. So I just urging that when we do this thing, remember that we are doing it for helping persons and not for mileage, please.
Clarence Jacob, who is the candidate going up for the People's National Movement for Bonaccord, Crown Point, admitted that he signed because these forms all over Tobago, an empty form with his signature. That's his signature. He said that Jacob admitted the signature affixed to the document was his. Now this document here is a government document. This document has the power to release taxpayers' funds by this signature of this person who's authorized. This signature authorizes the release of taxpayers' money. Understand what we're talking about? This man, Clarence Jacob, admit that he signed that. And hear what he said. Here's explanation, right? Now, no information, nothing going on. Jacob admitted the signature affixed to the document was his. He said, once you're comfortable in your heart, what you're doing right, you don't have to feel no how. We don't care what in your heart, what you and your wife do or you and your girlfriend do in your heart, how you feel, that's good. What we talk about is law. What is written in the books, the law, and the taxpayers' money, corporate governance principles, protection, safety from fraud. Okay, that's what we talk about. We're not talking about what in your heart. Nobody care about your heart. It comes easy like this. If I am not around and somebody comes to apply for a food card and there are no signatures on the application form, then the food cards will not be processed. He said, after putting his signature on the blank form, his staff would assist those interested in filling out the application. Here are many problems. One, you lazy, you don't go in your office, so you have to sign form to expedite what? If somebody come to the office 3 o'clock, but you not there, next morning you reach your office 6 o'clock, you sign the form. So that is nonsense. Number 2, you said that these forms were in your secure office and only your staff have access to them and in your office, so that when they go through the correct process and fill out the form, your staff will do the vetting and so on, and that will expedite the process. Well, then how this reach out in the public domain if this was in your secure office? Then either one of your staff setting you up, or you are incompetent and you have allowed signed documents with access to money. Food card is money, taxpayers' dollars, to get out. Thirdly, sir, the reason that there's this form is that there is a process, so that if someone needs, the whole idea is to get help to those most in need. So your staff members, after a form is filled out, before you sign it, your staff members are supposed to go and check to make sure Archie not living in no mansion and driving no Benz and BMW or selling Porsche to Kewal Singh. And then when they check and they see that people are in need, they come to you and say recommended, and you sign. I don't know why my alarm going off. Oh Lord, wait, where my phone? Sorry. 5:25. Oh, I had a Zoom meeting just now. Don't worry about that. Yes, we taping this a little earlier. So, let me just follow up, that was distracting. So when the process is complete, you then affix your signature, seeing that everything is verified to prevent fraud. If you affix your signature, and as has happened, but you don't tell me, you was handing out anyway, right? So you contradict yourself. All you just lie over there, plenty in red shirt, boy. But you don't say you was boasting, you get package, people jealous your package, and all kind of, you just bring out, you just hand out card. So you don't admit that. But let's pretend you didn't admit that, right? Let's pretend you were not as stupid as that, to boast about that, right? Do you know that by signing this here, if these forms get into people who have nefarious motives and want to commit fraud, that they have access through your signature to go and create ghosts and fill out forms and create, each one of these things could be worth between $150 to $450, $600, depending on the requirements, the children, the needs, the poverty level, and so on. And your signature is affixed. So this, signing this is assisting and enabling fraudulent practice. And even if you was the most honest fella and you didn't admit, then you are opening up yourself to criminal charges. Furthermore, the law about election, there is an election in Tobago now, and you cannot bribe or give or induce anybody to vote for you. Look at it there, you understand? And you could read all of it. I rushing now because time running out. But sir, you in a mess. And to the police, don't get no thoughts from Fitzgerald Hines on this matter. To DCP Jacobs, don't go and get any advice or thoughts from Fitzgerald Hines. Look the law here. Look the evidence there. The man admit here. The man admit in the papers. Do your work, police. Oh, it's PNM. Well, if it's PNM, I don't bother now. I don't bother that, man. PNM. Yeah, I don't bother that, man. Still with Tobago, the Intelligent Island 3, Winford James, Dr. Winford James. A plan produced by the renowned economist Terence Farrell on behalf of Tobago House of Assembly. 2 years have gone and 2 remain, and I am not aware that anything of substance has been done to action the plan Dr. Winford James is talking about. Dr. Farrell did a plan for Tobago. Remember, Dr. Farrell was the head of the Economic Development Board under Rowley, and after 18 months he resigned. But say that Paula Gopin school nice. But he didn't tell me why he resigned. But we could see why. Because Dr. Farrell presented some key objectives for Tobago. He said create jobs and shift employment to the private sector. Did not happen. Improve productivity through appropriate infrastructure. Infrastructure crumbling. Build capacity in the public sector. Not at all. Improve food and energy security. Absolutely backwards. Restore growth and promote diversification. Rowley cannot even spell diversification. And they go on and on. All the points that Dr. Farrell said, Winford James is showing that Keith Rowley, the THA, the Tobago, Shampa Cujo, the Guerra girl, and the entire Ansel Dennis, Tricky Tracy, the PNM has totally failed to even implement a plan done for them by somebody who is amenable to them. When we talk in infrastructure, Elspeth Duncan, intelligent, brilliant woman who lives in Tobago, writes, massive tourism potential, talking about pothole, you know. The deep, wide chasms that define many of our roadways in Tobago can surely cop the prestigious title of 8th natural wonder of the world, expertly sculpted by rain, floodwaters, and ongoing vehicular movement. These commonly occurring basins the writing is just brilliant and entertaining. You all should read it. It's in the Newsday commentary section, Sunday, November 7th. Local and foreign off-road driving enthusiasts will be thrilled to know that Tobago offers one of the most easily accessible off-grid experiences in the world. No need to head for the hills and undeveloped rural areas for challenging terrain, especially after heavy tropical downpours. The rugged surfaces and unpredictable drops into muddy, water-filled chasms can be found virtually on your doorstep, even in Tobago's more developed zones like Crown Point and environs. Pothole cities, so not only Barrackpore, Labre, Couva, Central, Mamara, Laoketa, Diego Martin, all over the country. 30 to 40% of students in Tobago stay away from school. Well, I will end here with a debate with Dr. Rowley. You know I would love to debate Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour debate, any topic, any issue. I will allow him to have 4 or 5 advisors, and it'll just be me. Well, Archie will work the camera, right? But Archie wouldn't help me debate, okay? But he won't debate. So I see that he made a speech at the launch, as Express says, the fight for Tobago, right? The PNM. So I'm going to debate Dr. Rowley on what he's telling Tobagonian people. Prime Minister Keith Rowley on Sunday night said, only the PNM can continue to lead Tobago forward and treat with the hardships of the COVID-19 pandemic. Keith Christopher Rowley, sir. Tobago was doing quite well with the pandemic, despite the incompetence of you and your minister, Terence Dialsing, until you sat down and you invited all of Trinidad, legal immigrants, illegal immigrants, and citizens to come across to Tobago. And they all heeded your call and brought with them Brazilian variant of COVID-19. And since then, Tobago has been reeling, hitting over 100 deaths, and there are 400 positive cases right now, and Delta variant is now taking hold. Tobago has only 5 ICU beds. You were unable to procure a sufficient number. They should have had for their population at least 40 ICU beds. You were unable to do so. So, sir, I beg to differ. You have flopped on COVID-19, and you yourself have been a super spreader in Tobago. 35 contacts when you were there playing golf. Franklin Khan was there. He died. We don't know how he died. You had to go into quarantine because you were COVID-19 positive in Tobago, sir. He also said that he passed through Barbados on the way, and Barbados had lots of planes and tourists and so on. Yes, sir. Because Barbados, with previous government and this government, has put things in place to encourage tourism, to move tourism forward. Even though Tobago is far more beautiful than Barbados, the problem is that Tobago has had the PNM and tourism has collapsed. Under Kamla Prasad Visesa, tourism took a peak in 2014 of 97,000 international tourists, and during the July-August holidays, over 652,000 Trinidadians went over to Tobago, averaging 5 days and spending $7,000 on average. That dropped when you crashed the sea bridge. That local domestic tourism dropped in 2017 to a paltry 152,000 visitors. A drop of some 500,000 visitors. You have collapsed tourism in Tobago, sir. So while you were impressed with Barbados, Barbados does not have you as a prime minister. The prime minister said plans for the PNM have for Tobago will develop the island's tourism product. Will? When? PNM has been in charge since 2003. You have been in charge since 2015. Tourism is decimated beyond repair right now. 4. Rowley said he knows there's continued cooperation between the THA and the central government, then he has the confidence Tobago will be going upwards and onwards. Keith Rowley, since you have become Prime Minister, Tobago has been disrespected more than ever before. You treated your own PNM Chief Secretary, Kelvin Charles, like he was an orphan. You disrespected him. You were conducting negotiations for sandals without consultation with the THA. The THA and Tobago were treated as horn child, outside child, because we know how you treat your outside child. I just asked Gat Allen. And Tobago overall, with the sea bridge, the collapse, you had people's goods and cars and vans going on a barge. Tobago was nearly cut off. Food price inflation skyrocketed. The economy in Tobago was shattered. Your ministers ran rampant over Tobago, and the two representatives in the parliament could say nothing. You put one of them in your ministry. You took the other one out of tourism and put her in sport, and she was so angry that she said, when your own dog bite you, you're well bitten. You have treated the people of Tobago with total disrespect. You left their self-governance bill down there for 6 whole years. You only decided to bring a section of it in order to try to stay and hold on to power, to continue to procure without procurement. You brought that bill to change to 15 seats. You instructed the EBC without consultation from Tobagonians. Tobagonians cannot believe that you are a Tobagonian. So, sir, when you drive a golf cart and bounce a lady and cannot come out in Tobago to tell her sorry and see if she's all right, the whole of Tobago knows who you are, and they are ashamed that you were actually born in Mason Hall. He said, after a year and a half of the pandemic, this country is reopening its economy. Really? He said the PNM is trying to fix Tobago's problem and build a modern terminal to attract tourism in Barbados. You are building a terminal without consultation. You have treated the residents there and the land. You have taken it. You have increased the cost from $400 million to $1.2 billion. You are building a plan, a hotel, a terminal, and the hotels are dilapidated and have not been refurbished. You are playing games and giving contracts out to your friends and financiers for Rocky Point. Trinidadians are carrying on and conducting tender processes without consultation with the THA to give away Tobago land, and that's what you're boasting about. Rowley added that a marina will be built. He said that marina will be built quite back in 2015, we in 2021, and not even built, far less for marina. He said some people were taking credit for chasing Sandals Hotel project away. Sandals Hotel project left because Butch didn't like the question that someone earlier went and asked him. Furthermore, the Sandals Hotel project was not a foreign direct investment project. It was a project that the people of Trinidad and Tobago would have had to pay $7.2 billion at 6% interest. The break-even point of that project on that cost would have been 99 years, Keith Rowley. The people of Tobago have unmasked you. You have overseen the devastation of the economy of Tobago. Right now, the young people in Tobago are taking boats to go to Grenada to rob banks. He said a good relationship with the THA and central government is best. You have had the best PNM relationship, and Tobago has suffered. Lies will endure for a while. Untruth arrive. This is Rowley talking this, you know. This is Keith Rowley. Lies will endure for a while until truth arrives. And when truth arrives, lies know exactly where to go. Well, the lies know exactly where to go. And the people of Tobago know exactly what to do with you. And when we talking about lies, Rowley comes back in and he said, SOE will not be extended. Well, here's some of the businessmen glad that restrictions coming to an end. The SOE has done nothing. We dead in more from COVID-19 than ever before. The economy is totally shattered. We've been oppressed and cannot even go to our own beach to take a swim. But the SOE, the Express prints, no need. They print relief businessmen and few articles. Oh gosh, yes. My people in Trinidad and Tobago, are we serious? And Express, you ask what you can do. You can return to the principles of journalism. The state of emergency should have never been called. It should have never been extended. It has had no effect. There's been no efficacy. The COVID-19 positives are still rampant. Deaths are at an astronomical rate. You have done, people are dying, Delta is now ravaging. That's like, Rowley coming to say, I will release you from the SOE, is like a CEO who was embezzling money for 6 years. He decided to stop embezzling. And the board says, thank you, CEO, take a bonus. Thanks for stopping embezzling. Or it's like you have your knee on the neck of people. And when you release the knee, the person whose neck was under the knee, say, oh God, phew, thank you, thank you. Or another idea, because it's unbelievable, my people, we were oppressed and oppressed by Rowley, and now that he say he going to release it, people are trying to say celebrate that. That's like saying, if a rapist is raping a woman and he eventually stops, the woman should tell the rapist, thank you for stopping. What absolute madness are y'all talking about? The state of emergency was uncalled for. It was ineffective. It was oppressive. We in a constitutional crisis and dictatorship taking off. And y'all want us express to tell Rowley, thank you for not extending the SOE. It's like if you was on a plantation, because it looked like Senator Massa and them want to put me back on the plantation now. Senator Vera, how you going? Good evening. It's like if you was on the plantation and Massa say, give him 15 strokes. And when he reached 14, Massa say, okay, stop, that's enough. And the slave supposed to go, thank you, Massa, thank you. Good night.
And let me now talk to you a bit about making independent centers accountable too. I have taken note of Senator Vera's private motion against the conduct of all opposition senators, all of them. Can you believe that? I find this motion to be frivolous, vexatious, baseless, and without any parliamentary merit. This centre failed to identify a single standing order or law that was violated by the opposition during the attempted debate of our Section 36 motion to hold Her Excellency to account with respect to the fiasco concerning the Police Service Commission. Senator Vera is clearly now acting as a pawn in Rowley's anti-democratic playbook within our parliament. I want to remind you, Honourable Senator, no one voted for you. You were handpicked by a president who was handpicked by the PNM. She has failed to answer serious questions on breaching the Constitution and is now hiding from the public. And now you move this motion to try and silence the voices of the elected opposition. May I remind you that we were elected by over 309,000 persons. We are their voices in the Parliament and outside the Parliament. What exactly makes Senator Vera or Paul Richards outstanding? How unfair, unjust, unaccountable, and undemocratic can you get? If we go further and look at your record, your voting record in the Parliament, in the Senate, this 12th Parliament, since the elections, and you were appointed by the President, we will see clearly that your votes show a reflection of yourselves as being nothing more than Rowley's rubber stamps. In the 12th Parliament, Richard has never voted against the PNM. Take note, many votes are taken in the Parliament, but if they do not go to a division, you don't know how any particular person voted. So let us look at it. Richard has never once, Senator Richards, never once voted against the PNM. Never once. Out of 16 occasions, Senator Richards has always voted with the government, in favor of the government, 16 times. Out of 16 occasions, Vera has voted with the PNM 15 times. On 16 occasions, Sharice Sipasad has voted with the PNM 15 times. Out of 16 occasions, Varma Diyar Singh has voted with the PNM 14 times. Out of 16 occasions, Senator Hazel Thompson Hai has voted with the PNM 14 times. Out of 16 occasions, Senator Amrita Deorine has voted with the PNM 13 times. They voted against these spin puppets. They voted against procurement legislation for the gutting of the procurement legislation. They voted in favor of the property tax. They voted to preserve Harris's flawed COP selection order, which eventually went to court and parts of which were struck down. And you know, this voting pattern is in contrast to opposition motions, where the so-called independents have not supported these motions as they have done in support or in favor of government motions and bills.
All of what you've been hearing about losses at NGC and these wild accusations of losses and figures and $400 million, that was again complete falsehoods. Yes, sometimes businesses take a risk, a gamble, and it doesn't work out. That is the energy sector. You know how many people have drilled dry holes and dry wells and not gotten returns? But I stand here today and assure the people of Trinidad and Tobago, as we continue to negotiate, as we're doing right now with Atlantic LNG and the restructuring, we will find a way to recover, as we did for the first time with a basket price of gas. That was never done before. And just the revenue we've earned by that, the increased enhanced revenue by negotiating that and pushing and fighting for that, has earned double and triple what you hear about NGC spending on Train 1. And I will tell the Train 1 story. I can't tell it as yet because of where we are at the sensitive stage of negotiations. And they like to make noise, oh, but you can't. Anybody who's been involved in sophisticated commercial negotiations knows you can't. But pressure can be put on the government. Pressure can be put on NGC by naysayers to try and change what you're doing at the negotiation table. So when I'm going into negotiations and leading the team, and there's a negative article not telling the full truth, and the population they hope that can influence how we sit opposite and push. It is not going to happen, not whilst I'm there.
So we would be the last person to walk away from the table on Train 1, but in the discussions that we have been having, we as a government would have done, and we continued to give hope for the breathing of life into Train 1 until the doctor said it's dead. I think the doctor is putting on his coat right now. We spent some money to keep that option open. I heard my colleagues, the national misrepresenters, entertaining themselves that we spent $400 million on Train 1, and it happens so easily and it's swallowed so easily. We spent, I think it's about 33 million US dollars to keep the Train 1 option open, not only for negotiating purposes, but also for the possibility that if gas was available, that we will continue. I think we can now conclude that the gas is not there because BP has not been successful.
All of what you've been hearing about losses at NGC and these wild accusations of losses and figures and $400 million, that was again complete falsehoods.
We have had to negotiate with some of the best. And to do that, we had to have people like Mark Lopan, who could sit across the table and deal with the experts at BP, at Shell, at BHP, and whatever. What is the UNC calling the man in for? And just in case you all have any problem, as Prime Minister, I have to tell you, I have absolute faith and confidence in Mark Lopan. Because I know the job that he can do and that he does for the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
So we would be the last person to walk away from the table on Train 1, but in the discussions that we have been having, we as a government would have done, and we continued to give hope for the breathing of life into Train 1 until the doctor said it's dead. I think the doctor is putting on his coat right now. We spent some money to keep that option open. I heard my colleagues, the national misrepresenters, entertaining themselves that we spent $400 million on Train 1, and it happens so easily and it's swallowed so easily. We spent, I think it's about 33 million US dollars to keep the Train 1 option open,
not only for negotiating purposes, but also for the possibility that if gas was available, that we will continue. I think we can now conclude that the gas is not there because BP has not been successful.
All of what you've been hearing about losses at NGC and these wild accusations of losses and figures and $400 million, that was again complete falsehoods.